like last week when Hyper promoter Bruton Smith unveiled his Bristol expansion project. New seats are a story here in Martinsville. Anything but Hyper. $500. 1947 when Clay Earls promoted his first car race for the boys just back from the war. The little paper clip was dirt back then. He had 650 bleacher seats. 6,000 people showed up wanting tickets. He and his future partner Bill France Sr. knew they were onto a good thing. Now it's the 90s. Everybody wants to go to Winston Cup races. The rest of the world finally caught on. But hey, I'm not here to teach history or count the crowd. We're NASCAR Today, the pre-race show for the big show on ESPN at 1 o'clock. And the rest of my team are just jumping up and down waiting to tell you what they're going to tell you about. Go, guys.
Welcome to Martinsville. Short track, big field, and lots of great fans. Now, this is the Goody's Headache Powders 500, and that's a perfect name, because when this afternoon is done, there'll be more headaches than New Year's Day, and a lot of driving like you might see on New Year's Eve. What's the real relief solution? Getting to Victory Lane. But that's not easy. We'll tell you why.
And in Victory Lane, that winter, we'll be talking about two things. Number one, brakes. B-R-A-K-E-S, because he still has some brakes. And brakes, B-R-E-A-K-S, because trust me, to get there, he will get some lucky brakes. Ray Dunlap.
Well, Benny, what a good break for Joe Nemechek. He qualified this weekend on the outside pole. That's a good break, right? Well, maybe not, because on the inside there's a 21-gun salute, and it's loaded, and it's about to go off into turn number 1. It could be a good break, but you could go from second to 22nd in the blink of an eye.
All right, guys, I'm going to tell you why Martinsville smells different from any other racetrack on the circuit, and I'm not talking about the dogwoods that are in full bloom. But what we love to do most is talk to drivers. How about the new guy at the head of the field? Go get him, Weber.
This is my favorite part about coming to Martinsville. This is the only time they let me sit down. Wallace is on the pole here. It's this guy, Kenny Wallace. You've been all smile. Your hand has to be sore from shaking hands all weekend. Congratulations.
Well, thanks. You know, sitting next to Dale Jarrett, my brother Mike, and everybody here, and they told me to milk it while I can. This is probably going to be my last interview. And the only way I can get another one is I got to really do good in the race. So we're having fun getting ready for driver's introduction.
And that's your goal, to start doing real well in these races. You want to take the next step, Kenny.
I really do. You know, I mean, we've, you know, like I've been telling everybody for the last 3 days, I told Dale, I said, I've got the opportunity to say some stuff I never could say before, but that is our goal. And I'd like all my fans and my sponsor to realize that, you know, we do want to make the next step. We do want to run in the top 10, and it's really hard in Winston Cup. So, you know, maybe today we will have the opportunity to run the top 10 all day and maybe pull off a big upset and win this thing, but we definitely want a top 5.
Okay, well, this guy's always smiling, but he's been really smiling big this weekend, Dave.
All right, here's your time. Nemechek, career best outside pole. Bodine, Gordon, Rudd, all former winners. Labonte, the Winston Cup champ, 7th. And back in 15th spot, Rusty Wallace, going for an amazing fifth straight victory in the spring race at Martinsville. Got a lot more guys to talk to. We're NASCAR Today. We'll take a break and come back with more. We're back at Martinsville. We have reason to celebrate even before the green flag falls today. Bob Jenkins is back from his back surgery to anchor the award-winning ESPN team that will bring you all the sights and sounds of this incredible 500-lap race here today. We'll bring you the pictures. We'll bring you the words. But you know what? There's one thing about this racetrack that television can't capture. From the driver's seat, nothing smells quite like Martinsville. The smell of brake pads and rear end grease. You car people know the aromas. You can identify them the moment that a molecule flies into your nasal airspace. Nothing smells like burning brakes or a burnt rear end. And through this afternoon, those smells grow stronger because the leaders go drag racing 1,000 times up and down the straightaways, doing everything they can to twist apart the drivetrain. But of course, all they're really trying to do is stay in front of that pack of wild men, inflicting similar abuse on their drivetrains. And at the end of every one of those 1,000 drag races, all that weight and force and energy and speed has to be hauled down in 2 seconds to a speed that will handle the U-turn at the end of the straightaway. Now, the guy beside you is going to brake late. He's a Winston Cup driver. Later means harder. So time after time, you stand on that pedal, haul down 3,400 pounds of steel short of the wall, and every time you smell smell the burning and know you've improved your position but reduced your chances of getting to the end. More than anywhere else, Martinsville drivers race the other guys and worry about their own equipment. Nowhere is the abuse on a car more noticeable than here. I know, we always talk about saving the equipment, but there really is a difference. Bristol last week, that's about wrecking cars. Carnage and controversy generally are consequences of that old cliche, contact. Martinsville is different. Martinsville is about wearing out your car. Of course, that's not to say you can't wreck here. If the only thing between you and the concrete is a worn-out set of brakes, then your chances of hitting something hard are pretty good. And so as we bring you this quest for Martinsville victory, all the sounds, all the pictures, I want you to sit at home and I want you to try to imagine the one thing we cannot bring you, the smell of the burning rear ends of burning brakes. You know what? I smell a good show coming. Look at all these guys lined up getting ready to be introduced. Hey, Weber, you gave me a new name at the front of the field. How about giving me a big name pitting on the back?
Well, I can do that. That would be Dale Jarrett. And obviously, you've got a couple of fights on your hand today. You got to come through the field, and you got to hit way over there.
It's it's going to be a tough day. We made this difficult, but you know it's always difficult here, and we just have to make the most of it. I think the car's pretty decent, just staying out of trouble and having good pit stops.
Now, if they vote to get rid of short tracks, not that we would ever do that, how would you vote, Dale?
No, let's don't. This is what it's about. You know, this is fun racing. As difficult as it is, and you know the fans can see everything that's happening, and that's what our sport's about.
Okay, and they're going to see a lot today, and one of the things they see might be this guy coming to the front.
Well, one good thing for Dale Jarrett, he'll have a lot of company back over there on the backstretch. Take a look at the big names who are going to be pitted over there in that neck of the woods. But 4 times the race has been won from the backstretch pits. Last guy to do it, Rusty Wallace, 1988. Check out the rest of your starting lineup as we move further back. The last of the front stretch pits goes to Morgan Shepherd starting 21st. Jarrett, the point leader. Earnhardt, 8th rank. Craven, tail end of the field, you got Sterling Marlin, who smacked the wall pretty good in practice, and that messed up his qualifying. And Mark Martin has to take a provisional. No, he's not very happy. Let's go to Ray Dunlop, who's with the outside pole.
Well, thanks, Dave. Kenny Wallace on the pole and Joe Nemechek outside. Joe, back in '93, you started on the pole for a Busch race. That's a whole different look when you're on that inside row, isn't it?
Oh, it definitely is. The inside's definitely the place to be for the first lap. Hopefully the outside groove is going to be good this morning, so it'll give me a little bit of a run. But I can't say enough for these guys that crew this Bell South Chevrolet Monte Carlo. Worked hard. You know, we've had a tough year, personally, but we're rebounding, showing a lot of promise, and I got to thank Team Sabco for giving me the opportunity, but I think we got a heck of a team. Just looking for a good race today.
Hey, have a lot of fun out there. Dave Despain.
Hey, we're on Craven Cruise here. Ricky Craven 2 weeks ago busts his shoulder in Texas, comes back in the saddle today. These guys are tough. Why is this such a tough racetrack for you? I mean, with the injury.
Well, because it's probably the most physical, and you know, there's you turn the wheel harder here than any place you race.
Show us exactly what you're going to have to do.
Can I show you how bad it hurts?
Yeah. Well, let me ask you about that. Any special provisions to deal with that problem today?
Yeah, we got some help, but it's a test. I feel like if I can survive today and do a respectable job, that the rest of it's downhill. Hey, I want to say thanks to all the fans that showed support from the injuries and the letters and the cards, and also say hi to Rick and Linda back home.
I think the fact that you're in the field is pretty impressive. Good run today, okay?
All right, thanks a lot.
That's Ricky Craven. All right, I'm going to Bakersfield, California, Wednesday. It's Thunder, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 o'clock Pacific. Got the USAC midgets from Bakersfield Speedway. Be a thunderhead, I promise you. It's fun. I think we need a commercial. Why don't we stand by, do that, then we'll hustle back here, and before driver introductions are over, we'll talk to some more of these cats before they go racing at Martinsville. The pictures are live. The cheers and boos indicate that Earnhardt has just been introduced to the crowd here. Bob Jenkins will be ably assisted today by past Winston Cup champs Ned Jarrett and Benny Parsons. And I suspect Benny is ready to provide a little expert analysis right now. Let's unroll Benny's blueprint and find out about Martinsville.
difficult. You think about one thing at this speedway at the start of the race, brakes. I've got to keep these brakes on the car. Earnhardt, don't race Rusty. Back off, let him go. Save the brakes. That a boy, Dale. Only 50 laps into the race. Is my brake pedal getting a little bit soft? The racer, Rusty Wallace, says, hey, go up there and pass those cars. But the fellow's going to win the race says, patience, Rusty. Be careful. Save those brake pads. After all, we're only halfway. We've got 250 laps more to run. Jeff Gordon, we see he's used another car to stop his car, and he wants by Mark Martin. But we see how patient he is. He pulls over to the inside. That says to Mark, I'm faster. But Mark doesn't give him that position. He is very, very patient because he knows he has to save those brakes. Now, 100 laps to go. You think now's the time to race? Wrong, because look what happens when you hit the brake pedal at Martinsville. You go in the corner, and the pad goes away, and they get so hot. You've got to save the brakes all day.
All right, Benny, I got it. Brakes. But what about the brakes?
Brakes. Some guys caught some bad brakes, Dave, pitting on the backstretch. Earnhardt's over there. Jarrett's over there. And Jeremy Mayfield, who was John Andretti, I'm sorry, in the 98 car was very, very fast. All those cars pitting over there. But they might get a lucky break in some of those cars over there they think may go a lap down. And when that happens, they'll be able to get in their pits and out of their pits. In the front stretch, those 21 cars over there, you expect all those cars to be there all day. And pitting, they could get blocked in the pits. And that would play in the guys that's in their hands that's pitting on the backstretch. So, you know, it's a bad break right now. On paper, it's a bad break, but it could be a good break before the day's over.
Real quick, Benny, what about track position here? It seems that starting in the back of this joint's got to be impossible.
It's very, very hard, but I think some guys back there do have race cars that will get them to the front. I think Rusty Wallace starting 15th. You know, how long is it going to take Rusty to get to the front? I think he'll be up somewhere in the top 5 in 50 laps. You think he's going to use the car to do that? Probably not. And the guys on the backstretch, Earnhardt starting back in 23rd, 25th, someplace in there, he's going to get to the front. So is Dale Jarrett. But it's going to take him a little bit longer than Rusty. Every position you go back, every row you go back, it's going to take you just a little bit longer to get back to the front.
All right, thank you, BP. Rusty Wallace gets a big cheer as he goes across the stage. Ray Dunlap, who you got over there?
Well, Dave, I'm standing with Hut Strickland, driver of the Circuit City Ford. And Hut, last year you had to use a provisional to get in this race. What'd you change?
Well, we changed about everything. You know, come here with different car, different crew chief. We got everything's different, really. Different engines, a whole new package, I guess, down there at Circuit City Ford. You know, we've been struggling pretty bad on these short tracks over the past couple of years, and we made, like I said, a good bit of changes and everything. So, you know, it's going to be. I'm kind of anxious right now to get the race underway because I don't really know what I got. But although I feel pretty good with it.
Hey, save the brakes.
That's the key.
Back to you, Dave.
All right, 42 cars, 42 stars taking the green in less than a half hour. We're here to the top of the hour. Then I want you to click over to ESPN Classic for the Goodies 500. Tonight, 7:30 Eastern Time. Kenny Mayne has all the weekend action on RPM tonight. We are NASCAR Today with the pre-race show. The drivers' introductions are just about complete. That means they're headed for the cars. Stay tuned for more.
Martinsville win standing right here. Darrell Waltrip and Rusty Wallace. Rusty Wallace is one of the fastest guys in practice on Friday, but he starts 15th. He's talking it over with a guy that'll start behind him. The 17 car starts 17th. What's he want?
We're talking about gears. He wanted to know if I got a blow-up gear in it, and I said, no, I don't.
I do.
Hey, who's the guy on the pole? Who's the guy on the pole? Your little brother.
I'm happy. I'm so happy that he's on the pole, man. If I can't be on there, that kid has put up he's put up with so much crap. It's unreal. He's the drivingest little fool I know of. And I tell you what, if he get everybody to keep up with him, they'd win 100 races. But I'm so proud of him. When he was driving for me, we won the crap out of races. Set on the poles, but he's got a hell of a team owner. He got a hell of a crew chief, and they're going to do real good. And this is the start of it for him.
But it'd rather be you. You'd rather it be you on the pole, wouldn't it?
I won 47 of them. I'm going to try to win my 50th this year. But I got to tell you, I got my pole last week, and I'm proud for him this week. I really am.
Okay, he's also got 6 wins at this track, 4 in this race in a row, going for 5 straight. Double D.
Will I get Jeff Bodine before he goes up for driver introductions? It's going to be close. Jeff Bodine, you won your first race on this racetrack, first Winston Cup race. Why do you like this track?
Well, that's one reason. I won a lot of late model Busch races here, modifieds. It was good to see the modifieds yesterday run here. That was fun. So a lot of good memories here, and I don't know. This is just good old short track racing. That's what we all like.
All right, now, besides Jimmy Spencer, who you worried about today? Who you figure is going to be tough to beat?
Besides Jimmy, yeah, a whole bunch of guys. This guy right here, Joe Nemechek, Kenny Wallace, his brother Rusty, Earnhardt, even Mark Martin. He's crying that, or not crying, but he's saying, I don't have a chance. Hey, when a guy's saying he don't have a chance, you know he's got a chance. So even Mark Martin on the back straightaway, starting way back, has a chance today. A lot of good cars. Y'all going to see a good race today.
All right, man, get up there and get yourself introduced. That is Jeff Bodine. What does that smell? I think I smell rear end grease. Are we anywhere close to Ray's garage?
Well, folks, earlier on today's show, Benny Parsons told you that saving your brakes is the key to success here at Martinsville. One driver's had a lot of success here. That's Darrell Waltrip. He's got 11 career wins in the Parts America Chevrolet. And he's been able to save his brakes because he takes a very interesting angle on setting up the race car. On the rear end housing of the race car, you see here, there's a center section that's open. This is where the rear end gear goes. And right in front of me, we have 3 different gears. The drivers and the crew chiefs have a big decision to make whenever the final happy hour practice is over. Which rear end gear are we going to use to race? Well, over here you see a 600 gear. In the center is a 620, and over here is a 633 gear. These apply the power that's generated from the race car to the rear end very differently. The way to remember this is over here with the 633, that's the higher number, but it's the lower gear. In the center, this one's pretty average. A lot of teams will use this. Over here, the lower number is actually a higher gear. Now, the trade-off is this. If you use the higher number, which is a lower gear, it allows you to take the car into the turn, back off the throttle, and let the gear slow down the race car. That way, you don't have to use as many brakes. If you've ever been going down the highway and accidentally bumped the gear shift down and you dropped into low gear, it about threw you out of the seat. Well, that's what happens with these cars. The higher the number, the lower the gear, it slows down the race car. Now, it's top secret information about which gear's in which car today, so I can't tell you that. But I will tell you this, the gear they chose will make a difference in how the car handles in today's race.
All right, now let's talk about consistency. If you got all the mechanical pieces in place, the next step is to nurse that baby along, get it down to the finish. Nobody's better than that. Nobody's better at that than Terry Labonte, who's with Bill Weber.
And Terry is standing here posing for pictures, and that's what he hopes to be doing after 500 laps, isn't it?
Oh, boy, that'd be nice, yeah.
Well, we're talking about brakes and all that stuff, but this is your kind of track, I think. You be real patient, and maybe the race comes to you.
No, I'll tell you what, it's a tough track, and you can really use your car up here early in the race. I've done it before. You got to take care of your brakes. You got to be there at the end, and you got to stay on the lead lap. So it's hard to pass here, and you got to be a little patient sometimes.
When we came here last September, you had that problem with your clutch assembly. Your crew dove in. Basically, a miracle finish. You came home second.
It was amazing to be able to come back and do that. And, the guys just did a great job, and the car worked super for us. We're able to make up the lap and come back and finish second.
Tell the fans how valuable it is starting on the inside lane.
Well, it just depends. You think it is pretty valuable, and then somebody, I guarantee you, back there will pass me before we all get single file. So I don't know. It just depends if the outside lane goes or the inside lane goes. But here I would rather be on the inside.
All right, good luck, Terry.
Thank you.
All right, let's get another first-time winner at Martinsville. First Cup victory. Morgan Shepherd, that was a while ago. You still got it in you? You going to win one of these today?
I still got it in me. We're going to get this Cruise America Pontiac up front.
You did just right. You got that last front stretch pit. That's a pretty big deal, isn't it?
Yeah, we did. I was walking down the back straightaway, and we got a lot of heavy hitters on the back straightaway here at Martinsville.
And you'll have them all behind you because you're over here in the good spot. Good luck today.
Thank you, Dave.
Experience. A lot of guys talk about experience. That boy's got some experience right there. 56-year-old Morgan Shepherd going after another Martinsville win here today. Well, let me tell you, the NFL Draft is coming up next on The Deuce from 1 till 6 o'clock. Meanwhile, over on the Classic, we'll run that little thing across the bottom at a quarter after and a quarter till to tell you who the picks were. So stay tuned.
NASCAR Today is brought to you by Daytona USA, the ultimate motorsports attraction.
The pageantry is proceeding apace. Every seat is full. The drivers have all been introduced. The fans are on their feet, as they will be all afternoon long. Although at this moment, it's for our national anthem.
Of Roanoke, Virginia.
They will wave the white flag on Rusty Wallace, 0.533 miles away from win number 2 in 1997.
And heavy traffic right in front of these cars. I don't know if it's going to play into anybody's hand. Gordon takes a look again. Rusty comes down, slams the door. Gordon on ahead. Here comes Jeff Gordon to take the lead.
Gordon takes the lead. Rusty slips. Jeff Gordon will win at Bristol, Tennessee. Buddy Evernham is ecstatic.
How can that possibly happen out there?
I don't know. I'm going to have to watch it. I have no idea.
You know, it was pretty tight down there. I mean, that's what Bristol's all about. You get down the closing lap at Bristol, and it's any man for himself. I've seen it done many times.
Got second. That's about it.
I long for short track racing.
It can be a nightmare.
Stand on the gas and swap some paint.
I have a passion for short track racing.
It's short, it's tight, and it's action-packed. It can be friend or foe.
This is what it's all about. This is fun.
For some, it is fun. For others who get short-circuited, it's frustrating. Everything happens fast. At the beginning, there are the near misses, the close calls, and finally, contact and the crunch. Eventually, the patience wears thin. And when that happens, you guessed it, the spin. Survivors must dodge the proverbial bullet. In this case, a punted peer named Presley. Others aren't so lucky. They zig when they should have zagged. In other words, when the day is done, they end up crashed, crunched, or even worse, victims of others' frustrations. If you think the high banks of Bristol are bad, you haven't seen me till you've watched 500 laps here at Martinsville. Today, the shortest track in NASCAR racing welcomes the largest field in its 50-year history. Today, 42 cars separated by half a second, race on half a mile for half a day. Sounds like an event that should be sponsored by a headache powder. Oh, I guess they thought of that already. Here's a little bit of a clue. Keep your hammers handy. You may have to chisel your way through some mean mileage here today at Martinsville.
There is no argument. To win at Martinsville, you must have great brakes and a few good brakes. The track is short, the speeds are fast. It's a drag race down the straightaways and a nose-diving dash into the turns. The racing surface changes from pavement to concrete, but it's not just the track, it's the traffic. It's not a lead foot that wins at Martinsville, it's the old soft shoe. Today, it's a field of 42 cars, and everyone's screaming for the same spot and a better result. Last fall, the Kellogg's crew repaired the clutch assembly, earning an amazing second-place finish and sending Terry Labonte to the title. Martinsville often translates to trouble for most, but today it will mean triumph for one driver that gets a lucky break. Well, it was cold and windy on Friday here at Martinsville, and qualifying had more twists and turns than a Perry Mason mystery. But when it was over and done with, the usual suspects for the pole, well, they'd been found guilty of taking too much time on their qualifying lap, and they were sentenced to pitting on the backstretch today. That's the story for Dale Jarrett. He starts 23rd, but he's got lots of, well, let's say cellmates back there. Earnhardt, Irvin, Marlin, and Martin all pitting on the backstretch. The last guy to win from the backstretch was Darrell Waltrip in 1988. You know, we might need Perry Mason by the end of this day, because one of those guys hopes to steal a win.
We are nearly a quarter of the way through the 1997 NASCAR Winston Cup season, and already it's been a year that Joe Nemechek out of Lakeland, Florida would like to soon forget. But things turning around for the young driver this weekend. Joe, starting on the outside of the front row here at the Martinsville Speedway. And Joe, how big of a boost is this for you and your team?
This is a big boost, for the whole Bell South Mobility team. We've had a tough year so far, both personally and with the team. We know we should have done better than we've done. We've wrecked a lot of race cars and stuff, but things are looking good. This is a big shot in the arm for the whole team, and I'm looking forward to running all day here at Martinsville.
Joe Nemechek starting second on Friday. He was on the pole for almost all of the qualifying round. That is until late when Kenny Wallace snatched the pole away by 51 thousandths of a second. Kenny, you've been saying that you're convinced to yourself that you can drive in Winston Cup. Now it's time to convince the fans. How are you going to handle this race today, man?
Man, I'm just going to run up front all day long. Our team feels like we can win. It's a long race. It's 500 laps here. We just got to take care of the brakes and be around at the end. It's business as usual. We just start this race and go racing.
Kenny Wallace is the 11th different pole winner in the last 12 races here at Martinsville. He hoped to back up his first career Winston Cup pole with his first career win.
Now the Chief Operating Officer for Central Carolina Grocers, the Grand Marshal, John W. Moore.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
With those 4 words, 42 cars fire to life. It's the largest field in the history of this 50-year-old facility. The pride and joy of the Clay Earls family. ESPN, the world leader in motorsports coverage, welcomes you live to Martinsville Speedway in Virginia. And today's 8th race of the 1997 NASCAR Winston Cup season, the Goody's Headache Powder 500. Going into this event, Dale Jarrett has a 90-point lead in the standings over Terry Labonte. Jeff Gordon's win boosted him to 3rd last week. The real battle, however, is back there 6 through 10 as only 42 markers separate those 5 drivers. More than 80,000 race fans have gathered here on this beautiful Sunday afternoon to watch 500 laps of competition around this half-mile facility. Hi, everyone. I'm Bob Jenkins. Great to be back as we end up the first half of the 1997 short track season here today. Now, when you think of short tracks, you normally think of Rusty Wallace. And certainly in the long term, he is the king of the short tracks. However, look at the results from 1995 to current. In the last 18 races, Jeff Gordon is the driver who leads in every category except one. Rusty still leads in the laps led with over 2,000. We've been talking about how you've got to save the brakes today, but Benny, is it going to be that easy?
No, because human nature is going to take over. You're driving down the expressway at 55 miles per hour. That's the speed limit. But you're just keeping up with traffic. And pretty soon you look down and realize you're running 65 miles per hour. You just kind of following the traffic. That's the same thing that happens here. You're following someone, you try to follow them. If they start driving away, you start driving just a little bit harder. If someone is pressing you from behind, you start driving just a little bit harder. When you do that, you use too many brakes and you use the car up.
And boy, that's so easy to do here at Martinsville. Benny, let's take that highway ride just a little bit further. I know that everyone out there has been in the mountains. Go down the mountains, you hit those brakes 4 or 5 times, then the pedal begins to go away. Well, can you imagine? Here today, they're going to hit that pedal 1,000 times, twice each lap. And they're going to hit it harder than you're going to hit it on the highway, too, because they're going down the straightaways 135, 140 miles an hour. They got to slow her down to 60 or 65 getting into those turns. So if you don't believe that'll use up some brakes, and many of them will, we'll be talking about it all day.
Ford leads the Manufacturers Championship as we head into today's race with 54 points, and there are 20 Fords in today's lineup. Chevrolet is next with 47 points, and 14 Chevys are in the grid. 8 Pontiacs. Pontiac has 32 points in the Manufacturers Championship. Ford has by far led the most laps this year, thanks mostly to Dale Jarrett and Rusty Wallace. Chevy has led 608 laps, and Pontiac has led 17. Let's take a look at the starting lineup. In his 97th career start, Kenny Wallace wins his first pole position. His career best finish was here in 94, a fourth. Joe Nemechek ties his career best start outside row 1. Jeff Gordon has 7 poles and 4 wins here. Either Jeff Bodine does. Jeff Gordon, the winner of last race here. Ricky Rudd, best start of 1997, starts 5th, and alongside will be Hud Strickland. Starting 7th, Terry Labonte in his 550th NASCAR Winston Cup start, and Bobby Hamilton, who won the pole and finished 3rd here last fall. Bill Elliott in his 30th Martinsville race starts 9th, and Kyle Petty is in his 34th Martinsville race starting 10th. In the 11th position, Jimmy Spencer was his best finish of 97 last week at Bristol. Ted Musgrave, 2nd in the 1995 Goody's Headache Powder 500. Starting 13th, Robert Presley, and 14th, 4th in points, Bobby Labonte.
And starting 15th, the driver who's won this race 4 times in a row, Rusty Wallace. On the outside, Mike Skinner. DW starts in 17th spot. On the outside will be Ward Burton. And then Ward's younger brother, Jeff, will start in the 10th row alongside Lake Speed. Back in the 10th row, 11th row is Morgan Shepherd on the inside, Johnny Benson on the outside. Dale Jarrett, the points leader, starts back in 23rd alongside Derek Cope. Dale Earnhardt, 7-time champion in row 13 alongside Ken Schrader. And in the 14th row on the inside, John Andretti and Steve Grissom.
And in row 15, we find Jeremy Mayfield in the car number 37. And Ernie Irvin finished 2nd here last year from the backstretch, so you can do it in the Texaco Ford. Dick Trickle on the inside of row number 16, along with Rick Mast, who's ailing today. We'll talk more about that later on. Chad Little, with a good run last year, starts inside 17th row, along with Michael Waltrip driving the local Wood Brothers Ford. And in row number 18, it's Ricky Craven, his first race since his injury at Texas, and Mike Wallace. And in the 19th row will be Brett Bodine and Sterling Marlin, the last 2 drivers to earn positions in qualifying. And in row number 20, Mark Martin with a rare provisional start, and Robbie Gordon, one of the rookie drivers. And in row 21 will be Dave Marcus and Bobby Hillen.
And those drivers who failed to qualify include Gary Bradbury, Lance Hooper in substitution for Greg Sachs, Billy Standridge, Randy McDonald, and David Green. Those 5 drivers went home. Here's Mark Martin's onboard camera. He starts there at the back of the field.
There's we see Michael Waltrip, Zitco car, Rusty Wallace's Miller Lite automobile, Ted Musgrave, the Prime Star Family Channel, and we see Jeff Bodine and also our pole sitter, Kenny Wallace.
And we're about ready to go racing.
Coming down for the start, green flag is out. First lap that Joe Nemechek has ever led here at Martinsville, and the first lap he has led in 1997, and cars get bunched up over on the back stretches. Mike Skinner has a problem.
Yes, he does, and they really did get bunched up. Brett Bodine and Sterling Marlin got together. Skinner's car just barely moving. Don't know what the problem might be, but something has gone awry with his Chevrolet.
And unfortunately, there's a lot of grills that's been banged up on that backstretch that jumble up there. And a spin down in the corner. Looks like Steve Grissom is going around.
Steve Grissom, driving with a broken foot, suffered last week at Bristol. That car is in the middle of the racetrack. No caution yet. The car is still right in the middle of the racetrack. Now we have a caution.
Well, it's a little bit too late for Steve Grissom. He went a lap down. He's going to try to race back around hard to get back to the start-finish line, but he's not going to make it.
And we understand it was a carburetor problem on Mike Skinner's number 31 Lowe's machine. First caution on lap 5. Here's Bill Weber.
Skinner's creeped to his pits. All these guys are crushed. They say it's the carburetor. Mike's sitting in the car telling everybody, take their time. Let's just get it fixed. They've got another carburetor sitting on the wall, taking off the air cleaner. They're going to go to work on it. They're also back on the deck lid up, checking back there. Might be looking for a fuel pickup problem. But right now, Mike Skinner's day, early problem. So it's not brakes that got him. Looks like it's the carburetor. This will take a little while. The caution helps, but not enough.
So work continues on Mike Skinner's car as the field behind the pace car now comes off of corner number 4. Let's take a look at what started everything.
Here's the 31 car. Mike Skinner is going to have a problem when he comes off the second corner. And watch, we see Michael Waltrip's already 3 abreast as he come off the corner. And watch these cars that they start trying to stop. In front of them, Skinner has stopped. And we see the 4 car is going to have no place to go. He gets booted from behind, almost spins out. We see Mike Wallace, the Spam car, and there we see the dead duck in the water, the 31 car of Skinner.
And from the Pennzoil copter cam overhead, we get a good panoramic look at what happened down below. There's Waltrip being forced high, and Skinner there way up toward the wall as the car was faltering coming off the corner. And Sterling Marlin nearly spun into, who was it, Ricky Craven?
Ricky Craven, almost a 25 car on the inside.
And then when they came around again in the second corner, Steve Grissom got sideways.
Might have had a little help from behind there.
But everybody else scrambled and avoided him. But the caution is out for the first time here at Martinsville. We'll take a break and be right back. Welcome back to our Speed World coverage of the Goody's Headache Powder 500 at Martinsville. The crowd rises to its feet again. We have the restart, and Joe Nemechek remains up front. That's Jeff Gordon running second. Pole sitter Kenny Wallace is third, and Hut Strickland is looking for a way around.
And Chad Little is losing oil over the racetrack. He's slipping and sliding, almost spinning out. And we see the damage to the nose of his car.
And look at the leaders coming in. They've been told that there's oil up there, and a couple of them, Jeff Bodine getting sideways.
He spins, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I couldn't help it. That oil was so much there that you get in the wheels, and it's just like being on ice.
Yep.
And once again, the caution flag comes out, but some heavy damage to the nose, the left front nose of Jeff Bodine's car.
And he hit Kyle Petty when he did that half spin, and that's what caused the damage to the front end.
Hit Kyle Petty in the right rear tire, so hope that there's no damage to the right rear of the Hot Wheels car.
Well, this is going to take a bit of time to clean up because he put down quite a bit of oil out there.
Apparently an oil line or maybe an oil filter.
Let's see it. Kyle comes along on the right side, see how much damage there is on the right side of his car.
John Kernan, what do you know?
When everybody bunched up and checked up here on the backstretch, Chad got into the back of someone. I just talked to Clyde Booth. He says the problem is they got a puncture in the oil cooler, which is in that left front of the car. So that's where the oil is coming from. Chad is in. They're going to try and get it fixed and get him back out there.
And so the John Deere Pontiac is behind the wall, and here is Chad Little laying down the oil.
So you know that he's losing oil because we see him just at the speed he's going, he's almost spinning out. Mark Martin tries to get on the inside. Now here comes the leaders. Joe Nemechek on the left side of your screen is the leader. He goes in the corner. He tries to go above the oil. So does Jeff Gordon. But they get in it and up the hill they go. Kenny Wallace tries to come on the inside. Now Jeff Bodine gets right in the oil. He saves it once. And then he spins, goes down, and boom, runs into Kyle Petty's right rear tire.
And from Jeff's onboard camera.
See, he wasn't accelerating very heavy. He didn't have to have much power to the wheels because it was so slick right where he was.
He is in, and Jerry punches there.
Primarily sheet metal damage, left front, the nose piece and left front fender shoved back in against the left front tire on the QBC Ford. Pat Tryson and the crew now replace that left front tire. Now we'll begin to use some of those pry bars and chisels we talked about at the beginning of the show. They let the car off the jack, and then now the tire is still rubbing. They realize if it goes back out, it's just going to cut that tire. They finally pry it away, and he is down and away, but probably will come back in. Let's check in once again on the progress of Mike Skinner's car up with Bill Weber.
Well, Skinner Gunner's back on the track, lost a handful of laps here. They did change the fuel filter in the rear of the car. Kevin Hamlin is looking at it on top of the toolbox now. They hope that's the problem. They can't really seem to find anything wrong with it, but they seem to think that's the problem. They did not change the carburetor. John on Sterling Marlin.
Sterling Marlin, who got crunched a little bit earlier, talked to Tim Brewer, his crew chief. The car looks like it's just sheet metal damage, but Tim says that any time that you've got on that front part of the nose where the fender is pushed in like it is on their car, you're going to lose downforce. So he expects Sterling to have a handful when the race gets back to green. Rick Masters also on pit road right now. He was involved in this last skirmish, and when he was leaving pit road last time out, we could see some kind of liquid coming out the left front of the car. So his crew has the hood up back here on the backstretch. They're working, trying to correct that.
Only 14 laps completed, and already numerous cars are showing the battle scars of racing at Martinsville. We'll be right back. ESPN is live at Martinsville, Virginia for the Goody's Headache Powder 500. On Speed World, it's all being brought to you by AC Delco Automotive Parts. AC Delco, it's like buying time. By Smooth Bush Beer and easy drinking Bush Light. And by Chevrolet Trucks, the most dependable, longest lasting trucks on the road. Well, we have tempers flaring on pit road already. Looks like the NASCAR officials held Jeff Bodine there, and members of Jeff Bodine's crew don't think he should have been.
That's Pat Tryson, the new crew chief this year, and he's a little upset. Steve Peterson's coming, trying to explain it to him. Very much.
They tried to explain to Pat that they were held Jeff Bodine for speeding on pit road, and Pat is saying we came down, the car was damaged, we took our time getting out, but even Jeff Bodine inside the car just radioed Pat and said, Pat, it's a call from upstairs, we have to deal with it, they're going to hold us a lap, and that's all we can do. But Pat's still trying to talk to Steve Peterson to try to plead their case. They had made 3 pit stops to pull that left front fender away, and now they held Bodine, and he is a lap down.
Jeff Bodine picked up his first NASCAR Winston Cup win here in April of '94. That was for Rick Hendrick. Here's a suspension cam on Jeff's QBC Ford.
And you see the sway bar arm? See the sway bar arm? There, you see this little thing right there? That's a chain link. The bar is not solid. The link is not solid between the control arm and the bar. Bill Weber?
Well, the John Deere Pontiac is a mess. It's been a great week for Chad Little. Their child Jesse was born this week, but a disappointing start to this race. Chad, what happened?
I really just didn't give myself enough room on that restart, and everyone bottlenecked, slowing down going into turn 3, and geez, I just shifted into the 3rd gear and was wide open, and I couldn't slow down in time, and it's really unfortunate. You know, it's more of a damn driver error than anything else, but all we can do now is get it fixed and go back out and make some points, and just got to be a little more patient.
Steve Grissom trying to get a lap back. He's on the inside. Remember, he spun, but he can't do it. Nemechek gets the bite off the corner. But now they're going through the oil dry.
Still a little slippery up there, it looks like. Nemechek up in the high lane, got a little wide coming off the corner. Here's the square D onboard camera as Kenny Wallace tries to work to the outside of Jeff Gordon. And Grissom still trying to get his lap back up there to your left.
And Elliott spins down the backstretch on the inside wall. Pretty good contact with the right front.
No caution yet.
And Grissom is going to beat him back. He gets that lap back.
Now there's a caution. But they did not take the caution flag that time. I think Steve's still going to have to come around and be ahead of now leader Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, he needs to race on back. The spotter has told him that, so he's running hard into turn 3. I don't think that Gordon will just bust his can to try to beat Steve Grissom back. Let him get that lap back, and he's going to do it.
And Mike Skinner, their 3rd in line, also had thoughts of doing so, but he realized that he couldn't make up the difference, and so Skinner remains
8 laps
down.
I call that about 22 seconds too soon, didn't I?
Bill Elliott is back underway.
Well, almost.
Well, not quite.
He's broken the steering on the car. He's unable to steer the car. You see how that right front's flopping around? The tie rod is broken on that car.
We've seen Mark Martin in and out of the pits numerous times in the first 22 laps. John, what's going on with him?
Bob Martin came in 2 times on that last caution flag because he had a lot of oil on the windshield. They came in, cleaned off the windshield. He went back out, said it wasn't good enough. It was still very dirty, very oil covered. So he came back in a second time, and they had to clean it one more time. And they said they decided to come back in a second time because they weren't going to lose that many positions. Now, Rick Mast, who's had some contact with a couple of cars out there, is sitting on pit road here on the backstretch. Told you there was some fluid coming out of that car. It turned out the radiator is broken whenever he got into the back of someone. So Rick is sitting on pit road. The team is having a bit of a problem getting the radiator out, but now it looks like they're ready to put the new radiator in. So Rick, who doesn't feel well today, is having a very tough day, and it will turn out to be a long one for him.
And Bill Elliott is backing up, and now a tow truck arrives at the scene.
Looks like he's trying to escape the tow truck.
There's Mike Beam, Bill's crew chief, who shakes his head and is disappointed at what's happened here early in the race. 23 laps have been completed. We're under our 3rd caution of the afternoon. It's Jeff Gordon at the front of the field early on in the Goody's Headache Powder 500. Great addition to our coverage of NASCAR Winston Cup races in 1997, the Pennzoil Copter Cam. Helicopter hovering over each and every racetrack that we go to this year with an onboard camera giving us a good overhead perspective of what's going on. And what's going on the track right now is still caution, as they're still trying to get the track ready for high-speed competition. Bill Elliott was the reason for this most recent caution. He spun down the backstretch. Jeff Bodine in and out of the pits once again. Doc, what's the latest on him?
If we can unravel this slightly for Jeff Bodine, what happened was the initial thought in the pits here that Jeff Bodine was being held for speeding on pit road. That's not the case at all. NASCAR said, we agree with you, Pat. Your driver was not speeding because you had a flat tire. What you're being penalized for is moving up the pit. When you leave pit road, you have to go to the end of the longest line and come around and come on pit road when that line passes the mark. You advanced your position, came up on the inside of all of the cars to come back down pit road to gain some time. You can't do that, and our rules require you to be held here on pit road, and that cost Jeff Bodine a lap. He came back in, they pulled the fender away, checked the left front tire. It is not rubbing, but he is indeed 1 lap down.
Yes, he is in 38th position already. 3 cars are shown as out of the race: Chad Little, Rick Mast, and Bill Elliott. From the Family Channel in-car, let's watch this.
There's Elliott, and he goes up on the outside of Bill. He's still on the outside. Elliott was beside Ted Musgrave, and I don't know if they touched him. Bill tried to jerk the car away. What, John Kernan?
Well, Bill is behind the wall working on that. Let's pose the question to Bill. Bill, looking at the in-car, it looks like you and Ted Musgrave might have had some contact. Is that right? And then what happened?
Well, me and the 6th thing got together over there. When we touched, I touched his left rear, and it just locked up the wheel. And then I just ended up spinning to the wall.
Well, you guys are right. There was contact, locked up the wheel, and Bill is now behind the wall. Disappointing day for him because they had qualified well, and Bill was looking forward to a very good run.
And Bill Elliott is having a good early part of the season. He's 9th in the point standings. Jeff Gordon is at the front of the field, and we're on board now with his Quaker State camera. He's leading his 6th consecutive race here at Martinsville, and now on board with Michael Waltrip as the green flag comes out for the restart. Is second, then a couple of lap cars, Jeff Bodine and Mike Skinner, then the 3rd place car of Hut Strickland.
Right now there's a battle for that 4th spot between Bobby Hamilton and Joe Nemechek. Nemechek's hung on the inside behind the lap cars, and he's having some problems. Although the lap cars look like they're running as fast as Nemechek, and Kyle Petty comes up to battle for take another position away. That would be the 5th spot.
outside groove. That's pretty impressive.
Robert Presley and Rusty Wallace are running side by side for 13th and 14th position. Now Rusty moves into 13th. That's Bobby Labonte. Then he goes to the inside of in turn number 1. And Jeff Burton up front. Rusty looking for his 5th consecutive win in this race, the spring race at Martinsville.
Spencer on the inside of Musgrave. Battle for 9th spot.
Well, here's where you have to use the brakes a lot more than you want to, Denny, this early in the race when you're running in traffic that heavy.
Prime Star Family Channel car. Musgrave at the helm.
Spencer moves by, takes a spot away. Also, 99 car, Jeff Burton, the X-Side Batteries car. And here comes Rusty Wallace.
Bobby Labonte will go by Ted Musgrave, or at least try to, going in the turn way.
And Joe Nemechek still struggling on the bottom of the racetrack, losing positions back to about 8th spot right now.
He was the early leader, but has dropped back now, as your scoring pylon will show you, to 9th position as Jimmy Spencer gets around.
See Lou, he's losing another spot.
Here's a Napa field summary. The numbers in parentheses indicate the driver's starting position. Burton up from 19th to 10th. Picked up a couple of spots since the green flag dropped. The all-time winningest driver, active driver at Martinsville. And Jerry has an update on Nemechek, who continues to drop back.
Well, just a moment ago, he told Mike Hillman that I'm stuck on the inside. I can't get an opening to get to the outside. Finally, he's able to move up behind Rusty Wallace. But until Rusty Wallace was opening between him and Bobby Labonte, Joe was on the inside of the racetrack, couldn't use the throttle, had to use the brakes, and lost a lot of spots.
As a matter of fact, he dropped out of the top 10. He's now back in 11th.
And that's a reverse situation, Bob. Normally, you say I got caught up on the outside, get back to the inside. That is abnormal for here at Martinsville.
And you know, Mark Martin has had a terrible time this weekend. Never seen Mike Skinner and Kyle Petty get together. But here see Mark Martin. Watch as he comes off the corner on the outside and bam, scrubs the wall as he and Robbie Gordon makes a little contact. He tried to avoid the Robbie Gordon car and just brushed the wall.
Looking back on Michael Waltrip and others. Mark Martin currently running in 28th position. Now we look forward to Mark Martin from Michael's perspective.
And that's what you want to see, is a lot of gap between you and that car up there, so you can go in the corner at your own pace. You don't have to worry about running in the back of someone, using too much brakes.
Jeff Gordon has pulled out to a pretty substantial lead here over Kenny Wallace, and by the same token, Wallace has a lot of racetrack between himself and the 3rd place car, Bud Strickland. This is the 8th consecutive short track race that Jeff Gordon has led. They're 2nd. And back we go to see Rusty Wallace move into 9th spot, passing Jimmy Spencer.
Started 15th, remember. So he just picks them off one at a time.
Off the corner.
Look at the serial scoring on Rusty here, courtesy of MCI. We timed laps 31 and 43rd. He went from 14th position on lap number 31 to his current position of 9th. Kenny Wallace with a square D on board, and you can see that there's quite a bit of racetrack between himself and Jeff Gordon up ahead.
Yeah, Jeff Gordon's pulling on away, Bob, just a little bit every lap.
AutoZone on-track interval. Laps 43 through 47. The interval went from 1.3 seconds.
Watch how consistent. Look how consistent the times are on Jeff Gordon. 20.6, 8, 7, 7, 7, 8. And here Kenny Wallace, look at this one, 21.1. Those are the ones that kill you right there. He lost 0.4 of a second. Kenny Wallace did to Jeff Gordon.
Now if you could just be a little more consistent on your underlining or lining on the...
Yeah, you're a lot better with it.
Tell us straight, we'd be all right. Is Hut Strickland running in third spot. Then Bobby Hamilton is fourth. And Ricky Rudd fifth. As the rest of the field comes down, completing lap number 49.
Dale Earnhardt's moved from 25th up to 16th.
There is something flapping.
Yeah, there's something.
I guess that's a piece of tape that they've got wrapped around something, or he's picked up something on the racetrack.
Obviously not affecting the car because he's moving ahead, as they say. In fact, catching up with some of the slower cars now at the back of the field. He has Dave Marcus, Steve Grissom, and Bobby Hillen just ahead of him. We'll take another break and be back with more live coverage from Martinsville Speedway in Virginia. Jeff Gordon at the front of the field in the Goody's Headache Powder 500 at Martinsville, and he has begun to lap some of the slower traffic already gotten by Dave Marcus and Bobby Hillen. Steve Grissom just ahead now. There's second place Kenny Wallace, and he's pursued by the number 8 car of Hut Strickland running in third.
Now there's a car that you would not say is a short track car, that 8 car, the Circuit City car. But these guys went to Richmond, Virginia about a month ago and tested 3 days. Ned, they must have learned something at that racetrack that certainly helped them this weekend.
I read where they felt that they did learn a lot. Of course, Richmond is a 3/4 mile track. This is a 1/2 mile track, but both of them are relatively flat when you compare them, say, to a Bristol or some of the other higher speed racetracks.
Jerry Punch has more.
Well, yesterday, Hut Strickland was not satisfied with the way the car ran in final practice. In fact, they had a water leak in the motor, the car not coming off the corners. So yesterday afternoon late, Eddie Milton and the crew started and finished this morning. They put the qualifying motor back in. So that's the strongest motor we got. It should get him off the corners today, and hopefully we can stay in the top 5. And oh, by the way, a moment ago before we went to break, that thing flapping beneath Jeff Gordon's car, the crew down here took a vote. Half said it was tape. The other half said it was a plastic bag. It rolled off here about 4 or 5 minutes ago. It was a plastic bag.
So that problem is solved.
We saw Bill Elliott there for just a moment. Bob, he is back out on the racetrack. Unfortunately, Bill's about 40 laps down.
And Rusty Wallace has gained another couple of spots up to 7th place at the moment as you watch another Napa field summary. We're on board with Rusty.
As he follows Kyle Petty. It's Kyle, the Hot Wheels car, directly in front of him. That hose sticking up in the middle of the screen is a drink hose where Rusty can reach and put that in his mouth and suck water out of a cooler.
Coming up now on Kyle Petty to challenge for the 6th spot.
Dale Earnhardt just went by Bobby Labonte and took over the 13th position.
And there goes Rusty on the inside of Kyle Petty. He goes by. Move him into 6th.
Now Terry Labonte will try to follow Rusty through. Marlin, Waltrip running together out there.
And Ricky Craven is involved in that mix. That's a battle back about 29th, 30th, and 31st. And there's Robbie Gordon, the 40 car.
There you can see the choices that have been made in the NFL draft that is going on all this weekend.
Mike Wallace, Spam car, will go a lap down to our leader. That is the 34th place car.
And Doug Reichert isn't here this weekend because he works on a Craftsman truck, right?
That's right. He's in Phoenix for the Craftsman truck race out there this afternoon. And I think Todd Myers is the fellow calling the shots this afternoon on the Span car.
Yep.
Well, Ned was talking about Earnhardt. There he is, Ned.
He's moving right on up through. He's in 13th position now, started 25th. So he's passed half of the cars that he needed to get to the front.
There you see the progression he's made from lap 31 when he was 20th.
He's about a half a lap behind Jeff Gordon right now.
There's no question that his car, black, is back. At Richmond, he finished 25th. That put him in 24th in the point standings. A good 8th place finish at Atlanta, 15th at Darlington, 6th at Texas, at 6th last week at Bristol, and that has put him in the top 10 in point standings. He is currently 8th going into this event.
And his car looks good. It's going around the racetrack, but on the bottom of the racetrack, it doesn't get sideways coming off the corner. It really does look good.
Terry Labonte coming up to lap Bobby Hillin. Jimmy Spencer comes off the corner now. Will join this little battle that also includes Kyle Petty and Jeff Burton.
Those 4 cars racing for position, the 5, 44, 99, and 23.
That's 7th through 10th.
Here's the Pennzoil copter cam shot.
Petty gets by, and this down the bottom of the racetrack. There goes the 99 car.
Dale Earnhardt coming up on the tail end of this group, right behind Darrell Waltrip, who has won 11 races at this facility. Darrell Waltrip has. He's won this race 5 times and the fall race 6 times. 11 of his 84 victories have come here. Jerry Punch has more on Dale Earnhardt.
As you watch Earnhardt make the progression from 25th starting spot now toward the top 10. The race car he's driving is a car he hasn't driven in a long, long time. For the want of a better name, they just call this car Old Faithful. The last time it came to Martinsville was the fall of 1995, and it won the race. It took it to Richmond that same year and set on the pole, run out of gas in the last few laps, or would have won up there. This is one of the oldest cars they've got, but it's an old one, but a good one, and maybe just what they need to get them back on track and back to victory lane.
And Dale is making his 550th NASCAR Winston Cup start here this afternoon. He gets by Bobby Hillin going into turn number 3. Now Bobby Labonte comes up along with Ted Musgrave. Rusty Wallace is now 6th, and looking at 5th place, Ricky Rudd gets a good run, can't make the pass.
He just kind of dived down there and tell Ricky Rudd that he wanted that position. Let's don't fight about this too hard. He was trying to tell Ricky, next time I make that dive, I'd appreciate it if you just kind of let me go by.
Now he looks outside there for a moment.
Yeah, I think that's just kind of fake.
Jeff Bodine is 1 lap down. He's just ahead of Rudd and Wallace. Looks like Jeff has gotten most of his problems worked out because the car is going pretty well.
Yeah, he's got a pretty good race car there. He's not as fast as a few of them, but he's still in good shape.
And here is Dale Earnhardt moving to 12th spot, passing Darrell Waltrip.
Rusty Wallace still works up on the back bumper of that tide ride. He does go to the outside, and will he try that? Nah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Maybe.
He's going to try it.
By golly, he is on the outside. I've never seen Rusty Wallace out there.
Well, he saw that Ricky Rudd was sort of hung up behind Jeff Bodine there, and he thought, well, maybe I can go, and Ricky's going to give him the room to run out there.
And with those two drivers battling side by side, Jeff Bodine pulls away for a moment, but now Rusty makes the pass, completes the pass on the outside, and comes up behind Jeff.
Well, that's what we're talking about not abusing your car. Ricky Rudd could have battled the 2 car a lot harder than he did, but that would just use both cars up, and now is not the time to do that.
Too early in the race.
Look at that that number up there in the top left of your screen. Still 419 laps to go.
Never seen a fourth place car right in front of Rusty Wallace. That's Hut Strickland.
Bobby Hamilton is running third. Rusty's going to try it up high again. Ooh, a little contact there maybe, huh?
Might have been as they came off the corner. Going down in turn 3, Rusty Wallace once again tries to go up on the outside. Can't make it.
Whoops, little contact there. That moved him out of the way enough. Got by.
Bill Weber has more on Rusty Wallace, who's now 5th.
Hey, Bob, we talked to Rusty yesterday afternoon after final practice. He's had a lot of success at this track, 6 wins. But he said today he was not going to muscle his way to the front. He was going to basically try and tiptoe to the front. Wasn't going to force the issue. When the pass came, then he would take it. But he wasn't going to do any pushing or shoving. Right now, side by side with Hut Strickland, going down the backstretch, battling for 4th. Rusty said lap 350 is the key. He wants really good brakes on lap 350 to get him to the finish. But then he said, in the last 150 laps, you can use up your brakes too. Right now, around Hut Strickland, Wallace from 15th to 3rd.
And the king of the short tracks is on the march toward the front, trying to catch Jeff Gordon, who leads the Goody's Headache Powder 500 at the moment with 85 laps on the board. And here's Jeff, as he's still out there with a comfortable lead, passing some of the slower cars. Back with more in just a moment. NASCAR Winston Cup racing today from Martinsville Speedway in Virginia, looking from the Pennzoil Copter Can. Of course, the Pennzoil car is driven by Johnny Benson, who currently runs in 26th position. And there's a shot of the great crowd that has gathered here for this big day at Martinsville. Here's the Miller Lite onboard camera. And Mark Martin, he's in 22nd. Jeff Bodine is a lap down in 37th spot. Ted Musgrave is 16th, matching his car number. Michael Waltrip in car number 21 is a lap down in 33rd position. The Square D in-car camera driven by Kenny Wallace, who continues to run in second, about a full straightaway ahead of this man, Jeff Gordon, the Quaker State onboard camera, and he is our true value man of the race. Won his 22nd career victory last week at Bristol. 5 top 5 finishes this season. And True Value, on behalf of Jeff, is donating $1,000 to his favorite charity, the Leukemia Society of America. That's one of many organizations that Jeff is involved in.
And Bobby Hamilton, the STP Pontiac, has moved by Kenny Wallace to take over that 2nd spot.
Here's how it happened.
Down the front stretch at the start-finish line, he gets position, and Kenny Wallace wisely chooses not to battle a 43 car, and he moves into 2nd spot.
And Jeff Gordon is in a whole bunch of traffic. There he moves around Dick Trickle.
Trickle, who ran in a Busch race last night in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah, you got to think that Dale and Teresa Earnhardt are pretty happy today because their driver, Steve Park, won that race at Nashville last night.
Yes, a great job, Steve Park. Congratulations.
Let's take a look at the speeds at the line here as Jeff comes off the 4th corner and onto the main straightaway.
And these speeds are in miles per hour.
Next time by, we'll do that.
Of course, he's in heavy traffic right now. He isn't going to run as fast as he has been running because of the traffic that he's in.
And the other competitors are saying, thank goodness.
Yeah, because he's already put the lap on some good cars like Sterling Marlin and Ernie Irvin and Brett Bodine. And some of those. Caution is out. There's debris somewhere on the racetrack.
Well, so much for our speeds. Now they are reduced because of debris on the racetrack, and the 4th caution of the race comes out.
Now the race to the line here. Dick Trickle's getting his lap back. Sterling Marlin's going to try to come and get his lap back.
Here comes Sterling Marlin. He's on the inside.
Jeff Gordon's going to let him do that. Robbie Gordon's the next car back there, but he got sideways coming off the corner and couldn't make it.
Boy, he sure did get sideways, and he was going so fast that he had to slam on the brakes. You see him there on the inside to avoid hitting the cars that had already slowed down after crossing the line. We'll be right back.
Welcome back live to the Martinsville Speedway. The Goody's heading powder 500. We're on the backstretch. Dale Earnhardt is in. The guys on the front stretch already had their service and are back out on the track. Earnhardt getting 4 tires, no adjustments. The car is running very, very well, but it looks like Jeremy Mayfield and Earnhardt make some contact as Mayfield beat him out. Also, Dale Jarrett wins the race off pit road here on the backstretch, and that could cause a dented fender, a tire rub, possibly for both of those cars. We'll have to check and keep an eye on that from out there.
Well, you can hear that, couldn't you?
Oh, look at that. It's already rubbing the fender. The tire is already being rubbing the fender and smoking. So Earnhardt really needs to go back to the pit, and he didn't. He did not. He chose not to go in that time. He hates to give up that track position.
On the front stretch, let's take a look at the pit stops that occurred up here with Gordon, Hamilton, and Kenny Wallace ISO'd.
Jeff Gordon stops. Now we see the 43 car, the 81 car still coming down. And Rusty Wallace comes in the pits. There you see him, he just stopped.
Rusty is pitted behind the 16 car of Ted Musgrave, and it pretty much boxes Rusty in.
Up here. And when he finishes his pit stop, he's going to have to back up. We see the 24 car leaving. Here comes the 43. And Rusty Wallace has to back finally and almost makes contact with the 5 car as he leaves.
Jerry has more on Gordon and Wallace.
Well, Jeff Gordon didn't want any major changes on the race car, so the track is changing, but the car itself is very good. They made a slight half-pound air pressure adjustment on the left side of Gordon's car, number 24. Now, in Kenny Wallace's pit, Kenny wanted more forward bite in the square D4. They made an air pressure adjustment in the right rear, and the big thing about their pit, they had a great pit stop and were able to beat the 43 car off pit road. That put them second on the racetrack. Let's go to Bill Weber.
Well, as you might imagine, the two team pretty disappointed. Rusty did get boxed in on that pit stop. They're having a good run, and they had a good stop. But here's one of the keys to their good run here today. This tire just came off Rusty Wallace's car, but see this? It came from Ernie Irvin's car. Because before the race, after the teams get their tires, they try and match up these code numbers. There are several sets here on these tires. So the 2 bunch took their code numbers. They often share with the 28 and the 88 to find out what their code numbers are. When the 2 found out what their numbers were, they took them over to the 28. The 2 and the 28 swapped tires, rims and all. So Rusty actually ran the first portion of this race on the tires that were designated for Ernie Irvin. But don't worry, guys, it's legal to do.
And the tire rub on Dale Earnhardt continues, and he's going to be coming in for a pit stop, we understand. This is how it all happened when he came out of the pits.
Here we see, there's Jeremy Mayfield. He's coming out of the pits, and Earnhardt, just a little slight contact with the left rear, enough to push the fender on the right front tire of the 3 car.
Back in just a moment at Martinsville. Under caution once again on the 108th lap here at Martinsville Speedway in Virginia. www.nascar.com is NASCAR's website, providing you with the most recent and complete information about NASCAR, including tracks and event information, all of 12 of NASCAR's racing divisions and drivers. www.nascar.com. Well, let's get the update on Dale Earnhardt and John Kernan.
Bob Dale has had to pit. They've pulled the fender away. They've changed right side tires. I've got the tire off the right front, and this is what happens when the fender rubs. Now look at this stripe here. You can already feel that it's already rubbed off a good bit of the tread, and they don't have that much tread on here to begin with. This was under caution. Had he not come in, pulled the fender back, changed tires, and gone back out there, as they go into the turns, the right front would want to roll over on this tire. It wouldn't have lasted very long. They would have blown the tire, and then he would have been probably into the wall. But because they had the caution, they took advantage of it, came in. Earnhardt's car is fixed, but he's got a long way to go. Let's go to Dr. Jerry Punch.
You know, we're often quick to criticize when the tires wear out early or there's a problem with the race tires, but we'll hardly ever compliment Goodyear on a great job. Take a look at the right rear tire off Jeff Gordon's car. This tire ran 102 laps and still has the wear indicator dimple showing, meaning when you measure this tire, he has worn only 1/32nd off the right rear tire. Incredible. Ray Evernham just radioed Jeff, said, I have never seen tires with this little wear at Martinsville. Goodyear has done a whale of a job.
Guys, on that pit stop that Earnhardt had to come back in, he was 16th when he came out of the pits. When he went back in, he lost 10 positions. He is now 26 cars on the lead lap.
Green flag comes out again. You'll notice that Dick Trickle did cross the line ahead of Jeff Gordon, but apparently NASCAR took it away. He lines up to the inside.
Yeah, I thought he and Sterling Marlin both got their laps back, but I guess not.
Apparently, Jeff Gordon had taken the flag before that, and so neither Trickle nor Marlin get a lap back.
Trickle.
Now he does.
Yeah, he's got it back right now.
And here comes Kenny Wallace for the lead, diving down to the inside and trying to pass Jeff Gordon.
Now, he started on the pole, but he hasn't led yet, has he? Kenny Wallace.
Not.
Joe Nemechek took the lead right from this start.
Yep, we've only had 2 leaders and 2 lead changes. Jeff Gordon and Joe Nemechek.
Rusty Wallace on the inside of the 8-car Hut Strickland. That's a battle for 6th spot. Looking at the 8-car from the Miller Lite onboard camera.
And they're still side by side. All the way through 3 and 4, and now through 1 and 2. Rusty with a half a car length advantage as they go down the backstretch, but Strickland is hung in tough.
And Jeff Burton and the 23 car, Jimmy Spencer, watching all this. Finally, Hut just more or less gives Rusty the room to get in, and he does.
Talk about bumper-to-bumper traffic. There it is. Rusty pulls away on the straights, but Hut closes up in the corners.
Rusty's always talking about the great engine program that they have over at Penske Racing.
Here's a battle for second place, Bobby Hamilton and Kenny Wallace.
Kenny had made a bid for the lead there earlier, but now Gordon has pulled away by about a half a dozen car lengths.
But Dick Trickle is about a half a dozen car lengths ahead of Jeff Gordon, so Dick does have his lap back, and Rusty tries to make another move.
He's trying to pass Terry Labonte for the 2nd time today, and Labonte does not make a big issue out of it, and Rusty goes by. Here comes Hut Strickland. He's trying to get by Labonte.
And Terry Labonte is one of those drivers that knows how to exercise patience.
They call him the Iceman for more reasons than one. He's very patient and cautious out there.
Yeah, he's as cool as it comes.
This is the Pennzoil copter cam shot. Labonte and Strickland go. Oh, the 99 car, a little flame out the exhaust pipe. A sudden, Ricky Craven has made his presence known. Ricky is back in the cockpit after setting out Bristol because of the injuries that he suffered at Texas.
He made a great pit stop, Bob. I think that maybe they just changed 2 tires on the Budweiser Chevrolet because he's pitting on the backstretch, and of course beat a lot of cars that pitted on the front stretch out of the pits.
In any case, it has moved him, John Kernan, into the top 10.
Well, I tell you what, Ned, you must have a crystal ball up there that makes things crystal clear for you. Yes, that was the strategy. In fact, Andy Grace told me before the race started, he said the first pit stop, depending upon where we are in the track, we will probably only take right side tires. And remember, Ricky pitted a little bit earlier during one of those early cautions. As far as how Ricky is feeling fine. He's gone almost, what, a little more than a fifth of the way, almost coming up on a quarter of the way through this race. Started 35th. He is now running in the 10th position. He says he feels great, and the car is running really well. So, Ned, man, I tell you what, Ned, you know your stuff. Only right side tires this time. You guys don't need us anymore.
Oh, yes, we do. Don't go away. Lucky guess.
Dr. Punch showed us yesterday during happy hour the brace that Ricky is wearing today to protect those broken ribs. Now Terry Labonte and Hut Strickland are at it. Again, still.
Looks like Labonte has the position, and he does. This time Hut Strickland backs off, lets him go in. What was that for, Dad?
That was for 6th position. Hut's running 7th now. 99 car, Jim Burton is 8th. Jimmy Spencer is 9th.
Let's do more than show you the top 10. We'll give you a Napa field summary and show you where everybody's running at the moment.
In parentheses on the right is where this driver started. Ricky Crater started 35th, is running 10th.
Looks like that's the best improvement so far. Jarrett from 23rd to 14th, and Mayfield from 29th to 15th. Mark Martin is doing pretty good.
We see Andretti there in 17th position. He was really moving before that caution came out. He had passed a lot of race cars that come from far back and were moved up in to the top 15 positions.
There are 27 cars on the lead lap. Well, we may make that 28 here in just a minute, or 26, I should say, as Jeff Gordon positions himself to the inside of Trickle, and they bump.
Contact down the backstretch.
The fans have been watching this battle for several laps. Trickle on as long as he could, but finally, Gordon got by. Jerry?
Jeff Gordon's spotter went over to Dick Trickle's spotter and said, hey, here's the deal. If you won't hold us up and let us go by, if the caution comes out, we'll let you have your lap back. If you hold us up and we have to race you, we can both end up spinning out here and tagging the wall.
Oh, there's a real deal, huh?
Yeah. And they almost did spin out.
Yeah. Now this battle between Wallace and Hamilton gets heated up again.
Bobby Hamilton, that Pontiac, running good again here at Martinsville. It ran good here last year.
Yeah, he led 331 laps here last year. Here's Rusty, who has passed the 4-car, who's a lap down at 28th. But the point is that Rusty has gained track position and now is just a couple of car lengths behind Hamilton.
Yes, he passed Ricky Rudd to take over the 4th spot. So there's the 2nd and 3rd place car right in front of Rusty Wallace. It looks like, Ned, we're going to see a repeat of Bristol all over again. If Rusty could ever get up there close to the 24 car.
He might be the only one really that has a car that's equal to Jeff Gordon at this point of the race.
And Jerry has an update on Kenny Wallace.
A couple of times we've seen the 43 car try to make a move inside of the 81. He'll almost have a nose inside in the corner, then Kenny will pull away on the straightaway. Kenny said before the race, having the Robert Yates motor must be like riding a rocket ship. He said, when I punch the throttle coming out of the corners, it throws me back in the seat. And now I know how an astronaut feels. And man, what horsepower. The only problem is I got to remember to be patient and let it roll through the corners or else I'll run out my brakes.
During NASCAR today, Ray Dunlap showed us the different gears that can be used here. 625 to 633. Which do most use?
Well, I had a conversation with several teams this morning, and I talked to some teams that had a 633. And I went down to Andy Petrie and asked him if he had a 633 gear in his car. And he said, a 620 gear will win this race today. I hope it's my car. I hope it's the 33 car. But he said a 620 will win the race. He doesn't think that the gear will last, number one, and it might blow the engine up.
Well, you're watching a bottom line here, and you see the last 30 picks of the draft every 15 minutes and 45 minutes after the hour. That all through our coverage this afternoon. While these three cars battle for second and third, Jeff Gordon continues to pull away. He has put 0.8 of a second between first and second.
Bob, it'll be interesting if Rusty Wallace is able to get by the 43 of Bobby Hamilton and the 81 of Kenny Wallace, if he will be able to close in on Jeff Gordon. We'll see if he has one of the better two cars here today.
You see that every lap was at 20.7 from Jeff Gordon. Every lap.
I was going to have you try to draw a straight line again and point that out to us. So Jeff Gordon moving ahead here in the first 138 laps of the Goody's Headache Powders 500 with Kenny Wallace, Bobby Hamilton, Rusty Wallace, and Ricky Rudd running in the top 5. And the phrase of the day is, save your brakes. You gotta have some to finish 500 laps here at Martinsville. Back in just a moment. ESPN Speed World coverage continues. Jeff Gordon lapping some slower cars, going around lake speed on the 146th lap of the event.
Lake Speed has on his car today Steel Chariots, a movie about NASCAR West Cup racing. It's going to be released early fall.
And that, by the way, put Lake 2 laps down. He's in 36th position. Gordon now coming up on Ward Burton, who's still on the lead lap at the moment in 26th.
Ward Burton dives to the inside of Rick Mast, and Jeff Gordon says, yeah, I think that's the way to go.
So with Jeff Gordon in big traffic.
What up, Bob?
I was going to say we're going to check his speed, but we'll do it later.
Ward Burton dives to the inside of Elliott.
There's Joe Nemechek, who is not too far from going a lap down, is he?
No.
He was our outside pole sitter, but now it's just there are just two cars between Gordon, the leader of the race, and Joe, who's in 25th spot.
Gordon dives to the inside of Ward Burton. Ward is in the 26th spot.
Even running in this traffic, fellas, he's able to maintain almost a 4-second lead over Rusty Wallace, and that's what it was about 10 laps ago.
There's another one of the Wallace boys, Mike Wallace.
Gordon finished third in this race last year. Of course, he won the fall race here at Martinsville.
His lap speed, according to my stopwatch, the last lap went from, he was running about 20.70 down to 21.24, so it cost him about a half a second in the traffic that time.
Jeremy Mayfield and Mark Martin running back in 15th and 16th positions.
And John Andretti behind this group.
And Dale Jarrett ahead of this group.
You see Mark, his hand's going to sleep.
Oh.
So he's trying to get some feeling into his hand. When you sit there and you're, oh, dang, he's got a run on him. No, can't do I?
Yeah, he does. He passes Jeremy. Dale Jarrett, the points leader, running just ahead of Mark Martin. He's in 14th.
Been running on the back bumper of Bobby Labonte ever since the green flag came back out. They came out in 13th and 14th place, and that's where they've continued to run.
Dale has had some good runs on short tracks, but has never won a short track event. And there is Joe Nemechek, who is just about to get lapped. Jerry Punch, it won't be long.
I won't, Bob, as Jeff Gordon moves it on the car number 42. Nemechek's car is just so loose in the middle of the corner. I talked to Mike Hillman. You see he started second, and he's currently back in 25th spot. He said, we've tried a couple of things. but the car will not hook up in the middle of the corner. He has to wait to get back on the throttle, and that cost us valuable time, and right there, it just cost him a lap.
Yep, he's a lap down in 25th. So Jeff Gordon now has moved through quite a bit of traffic and has a little breathing room before he catches up to the next duo. That
Once
would be...
again, if you folks watch the starting lineup today, you'll notice 42 cars started the race here at Martinsville. It's a huge number around this racetrack.
There's Kenny Wallace, and we've been told that Jack Carlson, who's the vice president of marketing for Square D, and the note I was given says he is the man at Square D, flew into Charlotte last night and surprised the team by showing up here this morning to watch his driver Kenny Wallace start from the pole position.
It's like he picked a fine day to come because Kenny Wallace has a great run going.
There's a third place car of Bobby Hamilton. Rusty Wallace has leg speed between himself and Hamilton.
And Rusty Wallace is not going forward with the same speed he did on that last set of tires. It's like he's struggling right now to keep up.
There's Ricky Rudd, the number 10 car. He's 5th. And Terry Labonte is 6th in car 5, the defending Winston Cup champion.
And we'll see the 8 car. That's the next car in position. He is the 7th place car, Hut Strickland, Circuit City car.
And the 99 car of Jeff Burton is next in line. He is currently in 8th place, backside forward. Ernie Irvin there. Ernie's a lap down. He's back in 30th position.
And Jimmy Spencer is the 10th place car. There's a 11th place car. I'm sorry, the 10th place car. Jimmy Spencer is 9th. Ricky Craven is 10th.
11th is Kyle Petty in the Hot Wheels Pontiac. And old DW is 12th. How about that?
DW having a good run here today. He was right in front of Bobby Labonte and Dale Jarrett there for a while, and now he's just driven away from them. There's Bobby Labonte. You see how far away he is. Bobby is still in the 13th position in the Interstate Batteries Chevrolet, and Mark Martin has just passed Dale Jarrett on the last lap and has taken over 14th position.
So there's the points leader at 15th now. Looking back from Mark Martin, the Valvoline Royal onboard camera.
BJ's car seems to be very loose coming off the corners. I think he's one of those drivers that went to a low gear this morning.
Mark Martin has gone 41 races without a victory. His longest winless streak ever. The last time he was in victory lane was the fall Charlotte race in 1995. That was Steve Meal.
Steve Meal, time in the car and telling Mark Martin now he was running as compared to the leader probably.
He is right now at the highest that he has been. He started 39th, lost a position for his lowest so far in the race. There's Jeremy Mayfield and John Andretti, who swapped rides, these two rides, late last year. Right now, Jeremy is 16th and John is 17th.
Then behind them will be the car number 29 of Robert Presley. He is in the 18th position.
And there comes the 33 car being passed right now by Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt goes by, takes the position away. That'll move him into 19th and put Schrader back to 20th.
Now remember, Earnhardt was 26th on this restart after having to make that second pit stop during the caution.
There are only 3 more cars on the lead lap. There's one of them, the 16 of Ted Musgrave, who's 21st. Johnny Benson of the Pennzoil Pontiac is in 22nd position. And then the final car on the lead lap is the number 1 machine of Morgan Shepherd. There he is. But he's just a few car lengths ahead of Jeff Gordon. So that completes our circuit and showing you the cars on the lead lap at the 170 lap mark of the Goody's Headache Powder 500. back at Martinsville Speedway in Virginia for the running of the Goody's Headache Powder 500 here on ESPN Speed World. And we're being brought to you today by the owners, managers, and crew who proudly call the McDonald's in your neighborhood My McDonald's. By Quaker State Motor Oil for a clean running engine. By Prescription Strength Lotrimin AF for athlete's foot. It's the killer cure. And by Milwaukee's Best. When you're looking for a different breed of beer, unleash the beast. Milwaukee's Best. Over 80,000 seats now here at Martinsville, and every one of them is occupied by a race fan who have come to watch this great old facility which was built in 1947, still at it. Overhead shots courtesy of Pennzoil and the Copter Can. This place is as old as I am, and it looks a heck of a lot newer, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
There's the leader, Jeff Gordon, coming up on Ted Musgrave. He has already put Morgan Shepherd a lap down. And now Ted will be next.
Ted is running in the 20th position.
Keep in mind that graphic that we showed you at the beginning of the program and how Jeff Gordon, at least in the last couple of years, has been the driver to beat on the short tracks.
And we see these fellows, when the leader comes up to put them a lap down, you see them sometimes struggle to stay in that lead lap. Last week at Bristol, Tennessee, Dale Earnhardt raced Rusty Wallace back of the line. Remember when Wallace stopped up in turn 4 and Earnhardt dove on the bottom of the racetrack? And he was able to get himself back in the lead lap. If he had not done that, the best he could have finished was like 14th. As it was, I think he finished 6th. That's a huge difference. You've just got to try to stay on the lead lap any way possible.
Ernie Irvan is a lap down. The 8 car of Hud Strickland is 7th. There's Jeff Burton, the winner at Texas, and Robbie Gordon.
And Robbie Gordon is absolutely flying. In that Coors Light car, he has passed the 25 car of Ricky Craven. He's pulled twice the 23 car of Jimmy Spencer. He's passed the 99 car. Right now, there's no doubt the 40 or the 24 are the 2 fastest cars on the racetrack.
And the 40 car has a new crew chief. Basically, the crews of Nemechek and Robbie Gordon switched, right?
That's going to happen tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
So today, Glover is still the crew chief on the 40 car, but tomorrow, Mike Hillman will be. There's the leader. Trying to get through the traffic.
Just put a lap on Robert Presley. Presley in the 20th position.
Boy, he's got a lot of traffic ahead of him, though, in the next 25 laps or so.
Yeah, but he's coming up on some race cars like Dale Earnhardt and Ken Schrader and Dale Jarrett's not that far in front of him.
Now we have some speeds for you. Looks like that at least the first 6 cars, among them, Kenny Wallace had the fastest lap that time.
Kenny Wallace, because he had clean racetrack that time. You're strictly dependent on where you are. And you see Jeff Gordon almost ran the back of the 30 car. Once again, the 81 with that clear racetrack. And look at all this heavy traffic. Ned, you're right. There are some serious cars in front of them, in front of the leader, Jeff Gordon.
So this is where Kenny Wallace can make some headway here by
Robert Presley. Yeah, he and Robert Presley got together, and Robert Presley's going to try to move back on the inside of him going into turn 3. He had just put a lap on Presley.
On there, Presley gets a little nudge from the 16th from behind.
Well, it certainly reduced Jeff Gordon's lap speed down to 85. He was sideways coming off the second corner.
He really was. He did a great job of just straightening the car out and keep going.
Don't make much progress going sideways. You know, straight ahead progress anyway.
Now Jeff back up to over 89, almost 89 and a half. And you can see that Wallace's speed has been reduced because he now is up into some slower traffic.
Let's watch this on board with Jeff Gordon. He goes in the corner behind the 30 car. And he goes and starts going on the outside. He says, no, I can't do that. He go back to the inside, and he turned back, and the 29 car was beside of him.
Yeah. But it didn't deter him any. take a look at it from the copter cam as it flew over turn 2.
You see exactly what Benny will be talking about. Right there, you see he gets a little bit of a nudge. He came back down into Robert Presley, and that's all it took, just a little bit of a nudge. See, Robert then tries to pull up beside of him and get back in the lead lap, but he was not able to accomplish that.
Jeff still in traffic, now behind Skinner.
And right in front of Jeff Gordon is Dale Earnhardt. Not too far away. There we see him, and they're in the same corner anyway.
Yeah, there's about 3 other cars now between Gordon and Earnhardt. Dale running back in 18th. He had a good run going there for a while, but it seems to have stalled out.
It doesn't seem to be quite as strong as he was in that first long green flag run.
This run, I think that most cars slowed down this time, I think, but Jeff Gordon's car is still running the same. And look at Mark Martin. He has moved up into 9th spot and checked on the pylon.
Yeah, his car is on the move. Mark Martin has a very good race car here today.
There he is as he tries to close in on his teammate, Jeff Burton, the 99 car.
On lap 112, he was in 17th position, picked up 1 by lap 32, stayed there until lap 172 when he moved up 3, and now he's in the top 10.
Ward Burton in the MBNA Pontiac. Ward is 1 lap down in 30th position.
Camera, and we have a spin. No, we don't either.
Almost a spin.
Almost a spin. Another Radio Shack field summary now.
And we do have a spin now up here in turn 4. Jeff Bodine.
And looks like Mike Wallace is also involved. Wallace gets going the right way, and the 7 car of Bodine is going the wrong way.
And a lot of cars tried to get their laps back. All that you see in the picture there, they were trying to race Jeff Gordon back to the line. Some of them got their lap back. We'll have to wait for that NASCAR straighten it out.
Oh, a lot of damage to that right side of that 7 car.
Boy, it's been a tough day for Jeff Bodine, who spins up in turn 4 and brings out another caution here at Martinsville.
Stops here at Martinsville. Rusty Wallace is in. It's 4 tires for him. Same for the SDP Pontiac right behind him. The Jerry Punch.
4 tires for Jeff Gordon. Great pit stop again for Kenny Wallace and the Square D team. Also, Rusty Wallace down pit road. Let's go over to John Kernan.
Mark Martin is in. It's going to be a 4-tire change. A little bit of debate as to whether to go right sides only as the guys from the front stretch screen down the back stretch. Mark's lug nuts are tight. He's down and away, and so is Rick Craven. 4-tire changes for both of them, but they're going to lose some track position because they're pitting here on the backstretch.
There's Martin exiting the back pits along with Jeremy Mayfield and Ricky Craven.
Oh, there's a tire going in turn 3 on pit road. Someone, it finally is, well, it's still bouncing. There we go. Swallow the bouncing ball.
We understand Earnhardt hit it.
He's been having a little trouble getting out of the pit today, hitting something. It hit the car number 37 before coming out. They got together a little bit, and somebody left a tire. It might have been off of Dale Jarrett's car. We'll see. I don't know.
Well, at least that's a member of his crew that has come to retrieve it. Mm-hmm. Well, maybe we can tell what happened here as we... This is the replay of what brought out the caution. That is the 7 car of Bodine spinning. And look at the hit that he takes right there from Mike Wallace.
You really can't see it. All we can see is the 7 car move sideways. But there's a lot of damage to the right side of Jeff Bodine's car. Here we're riding along with Jeff Bodine. He goes down in turn 3.
Wow. Looked like when he got back on the gas, it just spun out from under him, didn't it?
And here's from our camera on the front stretch wall.
It's hard to say. There might have been some contact there. Hard to say. But
definitely contact between Bodine and Mike Wallace. Caution still out here at Martinsville as 201 out of 500 laps are completed. It's Jeff Gordon showing the way in the Goody's Headache Powder 500. Track facts are brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil for a clean running engine.
You know, safety always comes first in NASCAR. That's why teams have worked so hard to develop brakes for the last 500 laps here at Martinsville. Remember, it makes no difference how fast you go. If you can't stop, you're not going to be safe. Now, what happens when you stop on pit road? How do you keep the crew guys safe? You got to believe these tires and wheels are very hot from those hot brakes. Well, years ago, they began using gloves to protect their hands, to pull the tires and wheels off during a pit stop. But there's one unforeseen problem that really has gone unnoticed for a couple of years. That's the heavy-duty brake dust that comes off these carbon metallic pads that get eroded over 500 laps. When they come down pit road, that dust has collected inside the wheel. When you hit the wheel to try to change the lug nuts, you get a big cloud, a black cloud in your eyes, in your nose, and most importantly, in your lungs. Well, the cure didn't come from a laboratory, but rather from a kitchen cabinet. A simple can of non-stick cooking spray. You spray the inside of the wheel. It's nice and slippery. It's made for high temperatures and cooking. Therefore, the dust doesn't stick. And now the pit stops not only are safe, but they are completely health conscious.
And I suppose you could use the same thing on your passenger car, couldn't you?
Well, I'm sure you could. And you see all those wheels and where the brake dust is collected on those aluminum wheels.
All right, back to green on lap 206. We were cautioned for 9 laps.
Okay, Rusty Wallace is trying his best to get by the 41 car of Steve Grissom. There he goes. Dives in the corner. Now then, let's see if his car is going to be good enough this time to catch the 24.
This is the closest that Rusty has been. His first battle is going to be with brother Kenny. And again, every 15 minutes after and 45 minutes after each hour, we show you the latest 30 picks of the NFL draft that's going on today, including today.
In NASCAR today, on NASCAR Today, Russ said he was tickled to death for Kenny Wallace being on the pole, and Kenny lets him go, gives him the room. Rusty Wallace trying to take over second spot.
Oh, little bump there.
And while they battle, Jeff Gordon's able to open up a 6-car length lead or something like that. And the more they battle, the bigger his lead will become.
Bill Weber has a report from the pits.
And Bob, before the green came out, Rusty radioed back to his crew and said, "You better tell Herman to move over because I'm coming through." Not yet, he's not.
Nope. Kenny is holding him off. Whether this is brotherly love, but it's a brotherly shove now and then.
Kenny still has a fast race car.
Yes, he does.
A very fast race car.
In fact, before the caution came out, he had just driven away from Bobby Hamilton, who was running third at that time.
His best career finish was here at Martinsville. Kenny Wallace's was. He finished 4th here in the fall of '94. Last year in this race, he finished 14th, and he finished 10th in the fall race. Rusty Wallace is the man going for 5 straight victories in this event. No driver since Richard Petty has accomplished that. As a matter of fact, Richard is the only driver to have won 5 straight races at a track, or 5 races at a track.
Look at DW here.
How about that?
Trying to take over the 8th position from Jimmy Spencer. DW had a good pit stop. That's the Parts America Chevrolet number 17 down on the inside.
Guess that if you were to ask Darrell Waltrip, he'd probably say that Martinsville would be his favorite racetrack on the circuit now.
Bill Weber has a comment.
And that's exactly what he did say earlier today, that he does love this place, especially right now. And Ned, you pointed out about their pit stop. They've had 2 real good good pit stops. That last one, they came in 12th, went out 9th, and made a track bar adjustment. Darrell's very happy with the car and very happy with his run so far. 215 laps in.
Darrell's last win came in Darlington at the Mountain Dew Southern 500 in 1992. But 11 of his 84 victories have come at this facility. Jeff Burton is also in this little race, and so is Mark Martin. Oh, little contact there between Spencer and Waltrip.
Yeah, that was some close quarters.
Looking through the windshield of Mark Martin's Valvoline Ford. Up in the left-hand corner is the Radio Shack field summary, where all the cars in the field are running, position-wise. And there are 22 cars in the lead lap. Ted Musgrave will be the last car on the lead lap.
Now, you fans that saw Musgrave get lapped, he and Ted Musgrave and Robert Presley, but they beat Jeff Gordon back to the flag during that caution, and so as a result, they got back in the lead lap.
And right now, Kenny Wallace and Rusty have stopped losing ground to Jeff Gordon. As a matter of fact, might be gaining just a little ground on Jeff Gordon.
Well, when they stopped racing each other, that certainly increased their chances of being able to catch up.
But still, it appears to me that Jeff Gordon has the fastest and best car so far today.
Now here's a miss. 88 car, Dale Jarrett. There's the 3 and the 20. The 28 is a lap down, so he just moves over and lets those go. He's in 29th spot. John Kern, what you got on Ernie Irvin?
Well, Benny, Ernie got a lap down early. The car was running well, but now they're having an overheating problem. That car is car number 10. It's the oldest car in their stable. And just a few minutes ago, you were talking about Kenny Wallace getting his best career finish here at Martinsville, 4th place. Guess what? That was in that same car that Ernie's in, because remember, Kenny filled in for Ernie after he got hurt in that wreck at Michigan. So just a little bit of an interesting twist right there for you.
That's right. He did have Robert Yates horsepower for that race, and as a matter of fact, he still has Robert Yates horsepower because they utilize Yates engines.
In his Square D Ford, number 81. Here's Earnhardt and Ricky Craven, Dale Jarrett, all racing for position. That's 15th through 17th.
We have a spin. Nemechek and Cope off of corner 4, caution out. Joe continued. As you can see, Derek Cope did not. And Derek will lose another lap.
It's a shame he lost a lap by about 50 yards.
It's our 6th caution of the day, and it comes as we approach the halfway point. Here's a replay. Watch the left of your screen.
That's Nemechek in the 42, comes off the corner, gets on the gas, and gets in the back of the 36 car. Cope keeps the accelerator on, trying to spin out of harm's way. He actually did spin out of harm's way and really didn't hit anything. Good job, Derek Cope.
Okay.
There's Derek's car. What do you think?
Yeah.
It hadn't been too long since they were in.
No, it's only been about 25 laps since they were, or a little bit less than that. So I don't know. Those towards the back, I would guess, would come in, but those up towards the front, I don't know.
Well, they are not opening the pits now until they have run 1 lap under caution. And Bill Weber has more.
Yeah, they're having a big lap down here under caution. Rusty pulled up next to Kenny. They won't tell me what he said, but I think he was trying to indicate he wanted to go by. Yeah, he's telling Kenny to move. Robinson, he's telling Kenny to move over, I want to go by. Kenny doesn't want to move over.
And so for the moment, Kenny remains in 2nd. Rusty is 3rd, with Jeff Gordon still up front under caution. 224 laps are completed. We're 23 laps from the halfway point, and we will go back to green in 1/2 a lap. I'll show you the top 15 here in our Radio Shack field summary. And now 16 through 30, showing you that there are 22 cars on the lead lap. Musgrave did make a pit stop, and they put a rubber in the springs to tighten the car up a bit. And there you see the remainder of the field. Everybody is still out there. flag comes out, and we're back to racing.
Nate Musgrave was the only driver on the lead lap that did make a pit stop. Ernie Irvin stopped on the backstretch a couple of times.
That Square D Ford has a great run going today. Kenny Wallace did not start driving a race car until fairly late in his life. He was Rusty Wallace's mechanic.
He knows a lot about a race car, Kenny does, and that's an asset to him in his driving career.
We're looking back on Rusty from Kenny's car, and when this race is over, Shop Talk will feature Rusty Wallace, get some insight from him, and also give you an opportunity to buy some merchandise. That's coming up next after our coverage of this race with Alan Bestwick. And he's taking a look at least for second place.
He goes down to the inside. He positioned his car out of the mirror. And there we see a battle between Craven and Earnhardt. That's back for 16th.
John has another update on Dale Earnhardt.
Well, earlier in the race, we saw Earnhardt get together with Jeremy Mayfield. That messed up the right front fender. They came in, fixed that. Then the caution before last, he hit a tire as he was leaving pit road. That bent the left side of the front air dam under just a little bit. Richard Childers told me that's going to make the car want to push just a little bit. Right now, the car looks a little bit tight, but it looks like Dale's doing a good job with it right now.
On the outside of the 25 car right now.
Boy, these drivers in heavy track have got the lap cars to contend with, and they don't know whether they go on the high side or the low side or which way to go.
For a guy who may be driving with sore ribs resulting from the injuries in Texas, Ricky Craven is doing a good job out there. Still on the lead lap in 16th spot.
See there, Dick Trickle.
They're bumping.
Well, that's typical on a short track like this. You go into the corner and somebody slips a little bit and those bumpers start hitting. 3 abreast here, guys. You can't do that on this track. Now to get down to 2.
It's a battle for position between 98 and 30. Andretti and Benson for 19. Here comes Jeff Bodine in the 7 car. He's had his problems 3 laps down. And by the way, Jeff is celebrated his birthday on Friday. He was 48. Yeah. Jack Roush and Robert Yates had birthdays yesterday. And Sally Lanius, who is the mother of our technical director, Dennis, is celebrating a birthday today in Livonia, Michigan, which is the home of Roush Racing.
They're still battling.
To halfway, 240 laps are in.
Robert Presley, the 29 car, Cartoon Network car, he still continues to run on the lead lap. And there was the Ted Musgrave, the Brown Star Family Channel car. He is the last car on the lead lap. He's 22nd spot. And here's a battle for second spot. Rusty has position and will take it away. Now, can he go forward and do anything with Jeff Gordon?
Gordon has quite an advantage at the moment. We'll see if Rusty can cut into that advantage. And there's Terry Labonte. Mr. Consistency.
Just sneaking right on up there.
Jerry Punch has more on the Wallace boys.
Once Rusty got up beside Kenny, Kenny gave him plenty of room. Well, for lots of reasons. They're brothers. They like each other. That's because they're related. But also the fact we mentioned today, Kenny's got a Robert Yates motor. Next week at Talladega, Kenny is scheduled to have a Rusty Wallace engine in his Square D4. And Kenny said that is unless I screw it up today. So don't expect Kenny to bump Big Brother much when he makes the pass.
We are on the smallest and slowest track here today, but next week, the fastest and the longest, Talladega Superspeedway in Alabama, is where our coverage will continue next weekend. Back in a moment. Back at Martinsville Speedway in Virginia, overhead shots courtesy of the Pennzoil Copter Cam. Looking down on 80,000+ spectators and 42 race cars who are going at it in this 500-lap race. And they will go at it tonight as Game 3 comes along in the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. The Stars and the Oilers at 8 o'clock Eastern time tonight. As far as indoor sports is concerned, there's nothing like playoff hockey. Great game last night between the Flyers and the Penguins, which was won by Philadelphia. Tonight at 8 o'clock, the Stars and the Oilers.
And you saw a moment ago that the 5 car had been able to get by Terry Labonte, had been able to pass the 81 car of Kenny Wallace, and now we see the leader of the race, Jeff Gordon, the 24 DuPont Chevrolet.
We have gone past the halfway mark. This will complete lap number 252. Jeff Gordon is the leader. He has led 7 of 8 races so far this year, but he has not yet got the 5 bonus points for leading the most laps.
And here's the problem with Kyle Petty's car. We've been seeing smoke from it, Bob. Apparently a rear gearing or something gone wrong. He just got the black flag the last time around. Tough break for Kyle Petty. He was running up there in the lead lap and was running good.
So the Hot Wheels Pontiac is on the entrance road to the pit area. It goes behind the wall. In the last 25 short track races, that is tracks under a mile in length, Rusty Wallace has 8 wins, an average finish of 6.3. Gordon is second, Labonte third, followed by Martin and Earnhardt. And it just so happens that Gordon, Wallace, and Labonte are running 1, 2, 3 today. Now we jump on board with Jeff Gordon. Give you some shots from the Quaker State onboard camera.
He says thank you very much to Bill Elliott as he goes down the back stretch. I'm sorry, front stretch. Now we're on the back stretch. Mike Wallace is in front of Jeff Gordon.
43 of Bobby Hamilton chasing down Kenny Wallace, and it appears as if Kenny is having a few problems out there because he has dropped back considerably. He was right up there with Jeff and Rusty for a while. Jerry, what's the story?
Well, you guys are exactly right. Kenny Wallace's car has gotten loose coming off the corners. He's okay getting in, but he tries to get hooked up coming off. He just spins the tires and the back of the car comes around. He's trying to hold off Bobby Hamilton, but probably won't be able to for more than 5 or 6 more laps. I asked Gil Martin what the problem was. He said, Doc, that's what happens when you got one of those Robert Yates motors. You burn the right rear tire right off of it. Let's go to Bill Weber, checking in on Kyle Petty's situation.
And Kyle is back here behind the wall. The Hot Wheels Pontiac up on jacks. Definitely the rear end gearing has gone away. You can tell by that terrible smell. Kyle sits in the car. Window net's still up. They're going to try and make a change and get him back out there for points. But another disappointing run, or at least conclusion at this point to this team, which has worked extremely hard and showed flashes they can be competitive. They just cannot get the finishes.
And those fellas got to be awfully careful because that fluid is extremely hot. You ever see the 2-car, Rusty Wallace? There's the part that they're taking out, the rear gear. It's turning about 9,000 RPMs. The drive shaft turning 9,000 RPMs on Rusty Wallace's car. This tubular thing is the drive shaft that you see. this belt that you see right here, that goes over to a pump that sits here that pumps the fluid from the gear into a radiator that sits in the back of the car, hopefully to cool the gear enough.
Look at the suspension cam on Jeff Lodine's car, and you talk about hot brakes. Wow.
They do get hot when they...
You go down the corner, you look at the reflection on the shock absorber. That's how hot these brakes are getting.
And his is glowing all the way around the racetrack, even when he gets off the brakes and goes down the straightaway. You can see there now that they're still hot, and they really light up when he hits them.
Man, oh man.
Battle between Kenny Schrader and Dale Jarrett for 16th spot.
There it hits the curbing there, coming off the turn. And Jeff Gordon is not that far behind those two drivers. He has already lapped the Ted Musgrave car and Johnny Benson. And the next car he would lap would be the car number 29 of Robert Presley.
An update on Kyle Petty.
Well, Benny, you pointed out a second ago how hot the fluid is coming out of here. They've got fans underneath the rear end here, and just a minute ago, the whole area back here went up in the smoke of the steam coming from that fluid. Extremely hot. They do have a fan under there to try and cool it off, and you can just see it pouring out of there. And they want me to make a bad joke about Hot Wheels and hot fluid, but I'm not the kind of guy that would do that.
Good for you, Bill.
Guys, I'm telling you, if that fluid hits some skin, it just takes it with it as it goes, as it hits.
Well, we understand the 91 car of Mike Wallace may have a fire in the brake area on the right front.
You see, he doesn't have a grill. That's where he had Jeff Bodine.
Yes, sir. He sure does.
Probably when he hit him, Benny probably knocked some of the air duct off that would help to cool those brakes.
That's right. The air duct is in the right front. It carries the air back to the brake, and you're right. In this area there, all that damage, you're right, Ned. Exactly. And no air to cool the brakes, just a few laps. You can imagine the hoses come back into here. That's not a very good spot. Come back into the hoses come to the front of the car back and blow on the rotor caliper, and you can imagine that not being there. Now this racetrack is getting slick. These fellas having to use a lot of brakes. Look at the deflection in the sidewall there. See Mike Wallace trying to stop at his pits. Will he be able to stop? He was. John Kernan.
Mike Wallace brings his car to a stop. It's a brake problem. As soon as I came in, they said, yeah, he's got hardly any brake pedal left. Now, I can't see the right front, the flame or whatever you were talking about, but I can see a lot of heat coming off of it. They've got the fire extinguisher out, spray it in there, so Mike will be in the pits. They'll try and fix the brakes, get his back out. Now, Mike was in danger of not making this race. He went to his brother, Rusty, one of the masters here at Martinsville, and Rusty said, yeah, I'll help you. Rusty gave him 4 springs and 4 shocks on Saturday morning. Mike went out and practiced a couple laps, and it made the world of difference in the car. He goes out, he makes the field. But about those 4 shocks, Rusty said, I need them back after the race.
The next car to be lapped, Dale Jarrett. And when Jeff Gordon leads this lap coming up, he will clinch the 5 bonus points for leading the most laps. This will be the 251st lap that he has led out of 273.
How do you say dominate? 24?
I think that's what we can say it today. That's for sure.
The fact is that the interval between Jeff Gordon and Rusty Wallace really isn't diminishing that much, is it?
I don't think so, Bob. I haven't had a clock on the last few laps, but it doesn't appear like it is just looking out on the racetrack.
Jeff is in a little bit of traffic. There he goes around the 9 car and puts leg speed 2 laps down. There is Rusty. And he just comes off the 4th corner now to to complete the lap. So it's Gordon, Wallace, Terry Labonte, Kenny Wallace, and Bobby Hamilton, the top 5 here in Martinsville. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Jeff Gordon continues to lead here at Martinsville. He has put a lap on Dale Jarrett, and until today, the only driver to finish in the lead lap every race has been Jarrett. Of course, the race isn't over yet. Dale could still get back on the lead lap. There is debris on the racetrack.
It's a beverage can. It's laying on the racetrack. Jeff Gordon would certainly not want to see a caution flag right now, but 98 car. John Andretti would love to see a caution about now.
Yeah, because that's the next car that would be left. Andretti running in 17th position, but you can see how close it is right there. The white and red number 98 RCA car.
All right, let's take a look at the Bud Race recap. Jeff Gordon now has led 260 of 281 laps, 2 lead changes, 6 cautions totaling 47 laps, and the average speed is a little over 72 miles an hour. Not much in terms of drivers that have led this race. Joe Nemechek led the first 21, and then Gordon took over and hasn't been headed. Off the track, we have Gary Bradbury and David Green. They didn't make the race. The 2 cars that are off the track are the 91 of Mike Wallace and the 44 of Kyle Petty. Those 2 cars off the track.
Here's Gordon now trying to put that lap on the car number 98 of John Andretti. The RCA Ford running in 17th position.
Andretti trying his best to stay on the lead lap. Dives on the inside of the 77 car. It's Bobby Hillman and Jasper Engine car.
He's about to go 7 laps down. John Kernan has an update on Dale Jarrett, who's running a lap down in 18th.
I just talked to Todd Parrott. He said they are having all kinds of problems with the chassis this afternoon. He says, man, we did that long test. We thought we had it figured out, but for the 3rd straight race, we have blown it on the chassis setup here at Martinsville.
6 consecutive top 5 finishes going along with 2 wins for Dale Jarrett this year. This is by far the race that he's having the most difficulty with. And once again, you see the bottom line tagline updating you on the last 30 picks of the draft. You'll get that every 15 and 45 minutes after each hour.
Ned looks like he's having all kind of trouble with shock absorbers. The car just really goes back and forth off the corners.
Yeah, it's doing a lot of wiggling coming off the corners, not getting the traction that he needs.
Andretti moves over, tells Jeff Gordon, okay, go by on the outside. Just not sure I can do that.
Not with these hot tires on.
Here are the real 2 drivers that are off the track. Nobody is shown as officially out of the race, but Mike Wallace and Kyle Petty are behind the wall working on their cars.
There we see Jeff Gordon pulls up dead alongside the 98 car.
John races it though.
Up the hill they go.
There, Andretti goes a lap round. There's Rusty, and he's got about 5 cars between him and Gordon now. Passes Dick Trickle, and the 5 car of Terry Labonte is sticking right to the spoiler of the 2 car. And there's Bobby Hamilton, who's running 4th.
Kenny Wallace is falling back to 5th spot. There he is, and Ricky Rudd in 6th right behind him.
Martin doing a fine job. Had to take a provisional to get into this race. He started back in 39th position. He's up to 7th.
Man, what a job that is. He brushed the wall just early on in the race, just about the 10th lap. Hut Strickland is the 8th place car. He goes by the 30 car.
And there's the 99 car of Jeff Burton. He is in the 9th position. It's a 3-car battle because there's Darrell Walker coming into the picture. Darrell is in 10th position. John Benson in car number 30 is a lap down in 21st position.
Darrell Walter was having a good run. Good to see him back in the top 10.
Once again, we'll see where your favorite drivers are running as we give you the Radio Shack field summary. Look at Martin Martin, started 39th and is currently running in 6th spot. Jimmy Spencer, the 11th place car.
They're having a good run. Then the 18 car, Bobby Labonte, will be next. Bobby is in 12th position. And he is about 2/3 of a straightaway in front of Jeff Gordon. So Jeff Gordon continues to put him a lap down. He's trying to put Kenny Schrader a lap down now.
You know, Ned, with just 42 cars off the racetrack, 40 cars on the racetrack, it's hard to keep up. There's racing all the way around the racetrack.
Traffic everywhere. Here's the 37 car of Jeremy Mayfield. He is in the 13th position. And the 25 of Ricky Craven hanging in there on the lead lap. He's 14th. And there's Dale Earnhardt. He's in 15th position, and he's not too far ahead of the leader. As the leader, we're going to go back one more spot here, and we'll see that Earnhardt is running 15th, but we'll see that the 16th place car is side by side with the leader, and that's Kenny Schrader. Well, they were side by side. Schrader managed to get back out in front of him.
He held Jeff Gordon off that lap. Gordon tries it again.
Used to be teammates at Hendrick Motorsports, and now Ken Schrader over with the Leo Jackson group.
Randy Petrie. Yep. Dives down to the inside. He must have known there was going to be room there because
200 laps to go. Now 199. Oh, he's having a heck of a time getting around Kenny, isn't he?
Yes, he is. And Schrader once again holds him off to the delight of the pro Earnhardt fans here in the grandstands because they want him to hold up Jeff Gordon because his next victim will be Dale Earnhardt to put a lap down.
There he comes up once again. Awfully close. Just say, hey, I'm still here, Kenny.
In case you didn't look in your mirror that time, I'll let you know I'm here.
And it looks like he's going to give him another little bump.
Yeah, he's going to try it on the outside.
Well, that didn't work either, not that time.
He motions to Kenny. Come on, man, let me by. Okay, up the hill he goes. Let's try it this time.
Oh, man. Schrader's got some great straightaway speed.
He said, man, give me a caution. I need a caution right now. But I don't want to be it.
Yeah.
And John Andretti has caught back up to him now. He went a lap down.
And he's trying to pass Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, he's trying to get back in the lead lap.
All right, Jesse. Okay, let me calm down. Let's get everything back under control. Let's try this again.
But he's still maintaining a good lead over Rusty Wallace, Gordon is, even with all of this racing.
That's right. There you're going to see the interval. Here comes Rusty. There are 3 cars between Jeff and Rusty. Here's the 81 of Kenny Wallace running 5th, and he is having some handling problems.
Well, they've been out there a little over 100 laps on this set of tires. So they got theirs. Goes Rudd.
Nice spot. You're clear behind him.
Position.
Kenny now back to 6th.
Then you see Mark Martin coming into the picture there. He is the 7th place car, just gradually creeping up on them.
Riding along with Mark Martin now as he pulls up on the back of the John Deere Pontiac, Chad Little's car. Did we tell you that Chad Little's wife, Donna, had a baby born this week?
Yeah, I think Bill mentioned that during one of his pit reports.
Yeah.
And another member of their crew had a baby 2 days after Chad had Chris Webb, and his wife Noel had a 8-pound baby boy. 2 days after Chad was born.
Gordon still hasn't put a lap on Ken Schrader, and there's a whole bunch of traffic up ahead of Kenny, so it's going to get interesting here in the next few laps. We'll be back for it in a moment. ESPN Speed World today at Martinsville Speedway in Virginia for the Goody's Headache Powder 500, being led by Jeff Gordon, and the Pennzoil Copter Cam has a great overhead shot of Jeff Gordon, who, as you can see, has finally gotten around Ken Schrader and put a lap on him. But Jeff now approaches other slower traffic in the form of who?
Dale Earnhardt will be the next car on the lead lap. He's not far behind him. Mark Martin just passed Kenny Wallace and has taken over the 6th position.
Yeah, but I got a little bit bigger news than that for you, Ned.
What's that?
The 43 car, Bobby Hamilton just went by Rusty Wallace to take 2nd place.
Wow, how about that?
There he is. There's Rusty and Hamilton, the STP Pontiac, in 2nd spot. This racetrack is getting slick. It looks like right now. Oh, boy. Oh, we got some cars spinning. No, we didn't spin.
They just did a lot of bumping. And it was right ahead of Jeff Gordon.
And there we see the 23 and 3 battling for position back for 14th and 15th and right in front of the leader. Now, they're going to be a little difficult to pass. Jeff Gordon said, why me?
We're hearing there'll be about 20 laps till pit stops. Certainly, as far as gas is concerned, they can go that far, no problem. They've only run about 120 laps since they were in the pits, and certainly they can go probably 160 or so with gas, but they might be, I know there's some drivers that want some new tires on those cars.
But if they stop now, then they got to stop again. So they really need to stretch this and do it on one more stop.
Well, we hear that the gas mark is at about 345 laps, which is about a couple of laps from here.
Here's Bobby Hamilton, and he is closing the gap between himself and Jeff Gordon. The interval has gone from 3.2 seconds on lap 317 to 1.8 seconds on lap 321. Bobby Hamilton must consider this one of his best racetracks because he has 1 pole, 4 top 10 finishes, and last year led 331 laps. And in fact, 8 top 10 finishes in the last 10 short track races for Bobby Hamilton, who cut his teeth on a short track in Nashville, Tennessee.
I think he likes flat racetracks. As Earnhardt almost won a lap down, but not yet. Jeff Gordon's got a little work to do there yet before he puts Earnhardt a lap down. But, Bobby Hamilton won his first race out at Phoenix last year, which was a flat track. It's a mile track. But he always seems to run well in those type of racetracks.
Here is Mark Martin trying to gain another spot, trying to move into 5th position, taking it away from Ricky Rudd.
Here comes Jeff Gordon. He's trying. He's a little bit ahead. But here comes Earnhardt fighting back.
Well, he's trying desperately to stay on that lead lap just like Ken Schrader did. But right now he's a lap down. Ted Musgrave comes into the pits.
Oh, some contact between the 24 and 3. And Jimmy Spencer, he's trying everything he knows to stay in front.
Well, you got to be careful. You can mash a fender real easily here and get a tire rubbing.
Earnhardt drives up on the outside of Spencer and passes Jimmy Spencer to take the spot away.
This is 14th and 15th place, Spencer and Earnhardt.
And right behind the 33 is the second place car of Bobby Hamilton.
Look at this, how Hamilton has closed in and taken the advantage completely away from Jeff Gordon. Well, this thing is going to get interesting here. Looks like Jeff is going to be able to lap Jimmy Spencer, and you can't forget about Kenny Schrader either, who's right behind him.
Oh, the leader goes around.
He goes.
And the second place car goes by, I don't think there's much damage.
I don't think there's much damage to Jeff's car. Looks like there was some damage to Hamilton's car, though. Wow. He's got donuts all around, but I don't see any smoke. But look at Bobby Hamilton's right rear.
The right rear is about ripped off. You see as he comes around. Right there.
Wow.
But it might not affect him too much.
As long as he has a spoiler that'll stand up, it should be okay. He is the leader of the race.
Let's take a look at it again.
Here we go. There's Spencer in the 24. The 24 goes up the hill, slides up the hill, but now he starts coming back down. And he and Spencer make contact, and Jeff does a great job. Nails the gas, does a 360.
And Dale Earnhardt said, Yahoo! Because he was right in front of him, went all the way around, and stayed in the lead lap.
So what is Bobby Hamilton hit his right rear quarter panel on?
On Jeff's left front, or right front.
Must have on Jimmy Spencer. He must hit Jimmy Spencer. Well, let's see.
No, it comes right.
But Sterling Marlin.
There.
Sterling Marlin. He hit the left front of Sterling Marlin, I believe, and tore up the right rear. Let's see if we can tell from Jeff Gordon's. No, he's behind us, so we won't be able to see anything. Go right almost a complete lap. Going down in turn one. Earnhardt slides up the hill. Jeff learned that in the old midget days when they would spin. They didn't have starters, and they had to keep the thing running. So when they got sideways, they just nail the gas.
And you notice how quickly he got that thing in gear and shot out of there.
Well, he only dropped back to third position. He only lost 2 spots to Hamilton and Wallace. And now we assume that there will be pit stops when pit road is open, but it is not at the moment.
No, it is not open right now.
You see the red flag being held by a NASCAR official at the entrance to the front stretch pit, so nobody is able to come in without penalty.
Right now we've got Hamilton, Rusty Wallace, and Jeff Gordon. That's the top 3.
Terry Labonte and Mark Martin complete the top 5.
Ken Schrader got his lap back on that also. He was right there, so he got around the leaders. And see, he's the green car up there. We'll watch the crowd reaction to all of this.
Well, I don't know who they're cheering for, but
that is amazing. Look at those people.
I think we got a lot of Rusty Wallace fans down there in that particular section.
Or Dale Earnhardt fans.
Let's get down to Bill Weber.
Hamilton is here with Wallace right in front of him. They will work on the sheet metal on the right rear, change 4 tires on the STP Pontiac, and fill it with fuel. I don't believe these guys will be able to go the distance on this fuel stop. To Jerry Punch.
Right side tires already going on. Bad news for Gordon. He can't make it the rest of the way from here on fuel. Jimmy Spencer just radioed and said he had a bad push. The brakes were going away. And the left side tires are on. We are side by side down pit road. And Hamilton will beat Gordon as we go to the backstretch and John Kernan.
Right side tires already on for Mark Martin. They come around to the left side. Unfortunately, they will not be able to go the rest of the way. They will need one more pit stop, as does everyone else. Dale Earnhardt also in the work is completed on Mark Martin. As you look at Earnhardt's crew is working on the right side. Once again, saved by the caution. He does not go down a lap. Craven is down and away, still on the right side, coming around to the left side for Dale Earnhardt. Is his crew trying to make that car good to the finish, but they will have one more pit stop to go. Remember, he's got some of that damage on the front air dam, causing that car to be just a little bit tight.
Earnhardt rejoins the race. Let's take a look at Rusty Wallace from his Miller Lite on board to see how he got through this mess. Boy, there's a cloud of dust. You just have to hope that there is no car sitting in front of you where you're putting your car. We'll take a break and be right back. ESPN Speed World today, live at Martinsville, Virginia for the Goody Ketty Powers 200, 500, and it's being brought to you by the more than 1,525 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. By the legendary Firebird Trans Am from Pontiac. And by Daytona USA, the ultimate motorsports attraction. We're still under caution here at Martinsville as the 80,000 plus fans have a chance to stretch their legs and take a break from the intense battling that we have seen on the racetrack. Bobby Hamilton is the leader of the race under caution on lap 337. Once again at Martinsville, where we remain under caution as the final track clearance is made. Here's a Radio Shack field summary. Those 15 cars are on the lead lap. Dale Earnhardt in 15th position. And 16 through 20, Jimmy Spencer is in 16th spot. And down to Lake Speed, who's in 30th. And the rest of the field as we'll take another break. Of a lap has been run under green. Bobby Hamilton has pulled away a bit from Gordon.
So Gordon was caught up on the outside, and his car just didn't seem to go up there too good, so he got back down to the inside. Now trying to pass Ted Musgrave. Ted has made a green flag pit stop, so he's a couple of laps down now. 28th place.
Look at Rusty Wallace. He is right on Jeff Gordon's rear spoiler.
And Ted Musgrave hanging tough.
I said he was 2 laps down. Actually, Ted is 3 laps down now.
Still can't come off the corner, let him go up the racetrack the way he wants to. Now he can.
And look at Mark Martin.
And Jimmy Spencer diving on the inside of Rusty Wallace. There's the 81 car. Kenny Wallace going by Jerry Labonte. Takes a spot away.
Terry's car don't seem to be too good on brand new tires. After they run a little while, then he gets okay.
And Dick Trickle in the 36 car having a problem over in turn 2.
Caution is out. This is coming off of corner number 2. And Jimmy Spencer pulls ahead of Bobby Hamilton for the moment.
Uh-oh, he's broken the oil cooler, and he's putting oil on the racetrack.
So another caution comes out here as Derek Cope and Dick Trickle run into each other coming off of corner number 2. Back in a moment. Track crew is out on Martinsville Speedway cleaning up some oil that was put down by Derek Cope after his car collided with Dick Trickle. And
it was almost like Chad Little's situation today. He made contact, he goes back around the racetrack, and he's losing oil. He goes down the corner, the oil gets under the wheels, and around he goes, spins out in his own oil, backs across the curb. There we go. And he almost backs in the tow truck. And the tow truck wisely goes on by and finally gets it in gear and goes around to the pit area. To his pit area, they've taken the hood off and they're trying to fix the oil line problem they have.
So the track crew is basically going to have to make a complete lap around the racetrack to put down some oil dry and try to get up that oil that Derek put down. So while we're under caution, we'll take another break at the 350 lap mark.
Checkard is waving. Ernie Evan wins and Rusty spins and gets airborne and flips wildly right at the start-finish line. Very reminiscent of his accident at Daytona.
Gets the car out of shape. He and Earnhardt almost get together.
Let's hope we don't have any of that kind of thing going on next weekend when we visit Talladega. It begins Friday at 4 o'clock Eastern Time with Winston Cup qualifying on ESPN2. Saturday, live coverage here on ESPN at 1 o'clock Eastern to the NASCAR Busch Series race, the Birmingham Auto Dealers 500. Happy hour at 6 o'clock Eastern Time over on the Deuce. NASCAR Today begins our coverage on Sunday at 12:30 Eastern Time on the Deuce. And the Winston 500 will have live coverage at 1 o'clock Eastern Time here on ESPN as we go to the 2.6-mile high bank facility at Talladega, Alabama. Still under caution. Back in a moment. The Pennzoil Copter Cam has the shot of Martinsville Speedway here in Virginia, half-mile racetrack that has given us good racing for the last 50 years. This place opened in September of 1947 and still going strong. In fact, bigger and better than ever. Well, the official website of NASCAR is www.nascar.com, where you can find features and all kinds of information about any and all of 12 NASCAR's traveling divisions. Up-to-the-minute qualifying, race results, news, fan polls, you name it, you can get it at www.nascar.com. Well, it is a lengthy cleanup because, as I said, the oil dry has been put down clear around the racetrack, and then the jet dryer has been brought out. Jerry?
A lot of calculating being done down here, Bob. And what they're looking at is this. If we were to go green the rest of the way, who could make it on fuel? Well, the top 5 cars we've looked at, Hamilton, the 43 car, we are told they could make it on fuel. The 5th place car, Terry Labonte, he could make it on fuel. We are told that Jeff Gordon definitely could not go. Their calculations say a pit stop around lap 483, 485. They would need 3 gallons to finish. And likewise, Kenny Wallace would be very, very close, and so would Rusty. Car number 18 on pit road. Now, some of these guys are going to come in and top off their tanks to ensure the fact that they can go, particularly some of these guys on the very back of the lead lap. We saw the 18 car come in, Bobby Labonte, and you're wondering, why can the 24 not go and the 5 go? Well, it all comes down to gear. Gordon runs a 633 today, Labonte a 620.
There's Robin Pemberton of Rusty Wallace's crew. 1 to go.
And the 11th place car, here's Jeremy Mayfield that also ducked into the pits on the backstretch, so he figuring he's good to go the rest of the way.
Yeah, he turned right in front of the 25 car.
And Earnhardt had already made a pit stop a few laps ago on the backstretch, so had Kenny Schrader and Ricky Craven. So whether they're figuring they go all the way or just took the time to make some adjustments, time will tell.
I think we have the biggest wreck you've ever seen on the backstretch if you ain't careful.
I understand that Ricky Craven had a seatbelt problem was the reason he came in. Of course, he's racing, as he said, with broken ribs. Okay, here's the green flag. We go back at it. It's lap 359 complete, green on lap 360.
Jimmy Spencer, I did not realize he was a lap down.
Yeah, he got lapped in that 4th turn melee up there when he and Jeff Gordon got together. He's trying desperately to get back on the lead.
And there's the hood. The 25 car hit the 37 or something, and the hood is over the windshield, and Ricky can't see a thing.
Oh, what a tough break for him. Must have sheared the pins off that holds the hood. Well, that's going to cost him. He was one of those 15 cars that was on the lead lap.
Boy, you're driving by the seat of your pants. He's made it to the entrance road over to the backstretch pits. And Craven arrives in his pit, John Kernan.
And you're exactly right. The 2 middle hood pins have been sheared off when he made the contact. So the crew has a couple of bungee cords that they're going to strap to the fender, but the field roars by. Ricky Craven losing laps, losing positions. What a bad break for them after having such a good run. And they had pitted because of a seatbelt problem during that last caution. They were good to go the rest of the way.
And Robbie Gordon looks like may have gone up and bumped the wall up in turns 3 and 4. He's okay.
And Jimmy Spencer has gotten back in the lead lap. He's in 16th position.
And Jeff Gordon now is challenging the leader, Bobby Hamilton. Rusty Wallace also right there in 3rd position. And Kenny is in 4th.
And The 40 car, Robbie Gordon, took his car to the pits on the backstretch, and there was pretty serious damage on the right side.
Now, he was one of those cars that was one lap down. Robbie Gordon was, so he was still in the top 20.
And a battle for the lead. Gordon took a look.
Moving up on the outside, trying to take the 9th spot away from Ricky Rudd.
Next car in line would be the 8 car, but Strickland. The 98 is a lap down. The John Andretti car.
And Jeff Gordon once again takes a look to the inside of Bobby Hamilton going into turn number 1.
Again coming off at turn 4, but he can't quite do it.
Hamilton comes off the corner high every time down in turn 4, and that gives Joe, and boy, Gordon got a substantial bump there from Rusty. Don't count out Kenny Wallace, who's staying right up there with the leaders. In fact, Mark Martin and Terry Labonte are all right in the thick of things here. We've got the first 6 cars running right together on the racetrack. Until today, Bobby Hamilton had only led 1 lap this year. That was at Richmond, where he had his best finish of 97, 5th.
Boy, Jimmy Spencer has just driven away from them once he got around Hamilton. We'd love to see a caution.
Here's a Napa Field summary, and Jerry has more on Bobby Hamilton.
Bob, you mentioned the best finish of the year for the STP Pontiac came at Richmond. He finished 5th. That was the same race car. It's just Bobby's favorite car of all the ones they built out at Randleman and Level Cross. This car came here last fall and sat on the pole at Martinsville. It's also the same car they took to Phoenix and won for the first time for the King, Richard Petty, as a car owner. Maybe number 2 comes today.
He's looking good here with 371 laps completed.
More Gordon working on him. Gordon's sprint seems to be coming off of turn 4. His car really gets a good bite coming off of that corner.
Here's a spot that Ned said was his better spot. At that time, as he tried to turn under, the back end jumped out a little bit, not able to make the move.
Martin just moved over and let Terry Labonte go by.
And now Rusty Wallace has ideas of maybe trying to do something on the outside.
Okay.
Give it a whirl.
It works, yeah. But Gordon has ideas on the inside.
And nobody's passing anybody.
Well, maybe now.
Jeff has a good chance here because Hamilton again comes off the 4th corner wide. He says again, that gives
Bobby led that lap. But Jeff does have the preferred line there. Certainly his car seems to work better on the inside.
Wheel to wheel down the backstretch. 1st and 2nd, Gordon and Hamilton. And Rusty looks on from 3rd. Now Jeff is going to get the lead and lead that lap.
Well, this is exactly what NASCAR would like to have, a Chevrolet 4 in the Pontiac running 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
Throw a blanket over him.
So Bobby drops from 1st to 3rd here as Gordon and Rusty Wallace have command of 1st and 2nd. 124 laps to go in this Goody's Headache Powder 500 from Martinsville. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Martinsville Speedway in Virginia. You're watching live coverage of the Goody's Headache Powder 500 NASCAR Winston Cup race. The 24 car of Jeff Gordon is the leader of this race. He's trying to pull off another spin and win here this afternoon. He did spin a few laps ago over in corner number 2, but he has since resumed the lead and in fact has pulled out to a few car lengths lead over Rusty Wallace.
It was turn 4, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was it?
It was.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just keep you straight.
I appreciate that.
There's see Jeff Gordon come back, complete another lap. Rusty Wallace just can't gain on Jeff. Looks like that DuPont Chevy pretty well hooked up today.
It is hooked up, no doubt. That thing will stay right down on the bottom of the racetrack.
Has 22 career wins. Looking for 23 today.
Looks like the 98 car is out of brakes as he goes high in 3 and 4.
And Terry Labonte, as you can see from the Square D on board camera, having a heck of a battle here with Kenny Wallace. And there is the 98 car of John Andretti.
Yeah, the right front tire is flat and on the car.
Yeah, it looked like when he came by here, he had hit the wall because the right side was bashed in on it.
Chevy, Ford, Pontiac, Ford, Chevy. Then 4 more Fords in the Chevy of Darrell Waltrip. The top 10 as far as the manufacturer's battle goes. If points were awarded right now, Terry Labonte would have a 50-point deficit on Dale Jarrett. Now, the top 7 in points would not change position. However, things would be tightened up a bit because Dale Jarrett is not having that great a day. He's running 16th. 6 through 10, however, Rusty Wallace would move up 2 positions, and the big gainer today would be Bobby Hamilton, who would gain 4 and move into the top 10, and Labonte still trying to get this position from Kenny Wallace. And there's Mark Martin watching.
He figures if Terry gets on the inside of Kenny Wallace that he'll be able to follow him through. I'm talking about Mark Martin, and now Terry does get a nose up there alongside as he come off the turn 2. He might be able to get him going into turn 3, although Kenny runs strong down that back stretch.
4th, 5th, and 6th right here. All cars still running with the exception of 1. The 40 car of Robbie Gordon is behind the wall. Not, however, listed as out of the race.
Yeah, they changed the gear in Kyle Petty's car. A lot of cars have been behind the wall for a while, but most of them back out there.
Now Mark Martin closes up right on the inside of the 81 car. Dave Marcus moves over the real tree car, lets him go by. Oh, we got a 77 car spun right in front of these guys.
Bobby Hillin, the caution is out.
And Jimmy Spencer likes this because he's running far enough ahead of Jeff Gordon that he'll be in the lead lap in 15th position.
How about that? So another caution flag with 105 laps to go. 395 completed at Martinsville. At Martinsville, where pit stops have been completed, and now the question as to whether a few cars can or can't finish the race with fuel, that is a non-factor anymore.
Yeah, and
we'll show you what happened that brought out this latest caution flag. It was the 7-7 car of Bobby Hillin that spun, and on Jeff Gordon's onboard camera, there we see the 23 car of Jimmy Spencer coming off the corner, coming off 4, almost gets out of shape, goes down in 1, and he dives under the 77 car
And right there, there's some contact between the cars. The 77 goes around, and Jeff Gordon able to dodge it, puts it in third gear, and drives away.
So during the caution, we had pit stops, and here's how it went. Gordon, Wallace, and Hamilton. And you can see Jeff wins the battle out. Bobby second, then Labonte, and I think maybe Kenny beat Rusty.
Guess who's leading the race?
Mark Martin beat them all out.
Mark Martin in the back pit is leading the race. Jerry Bunch.
Another great pit stop by Gil Martin and Kenny Wallace's crew that didn't beat some of the others off pit road. They put one round of wedge in the left rear to try to tighten the 81 car up for the final run. Jeff Gordon wanted no changes, although he was complaining the car gets loose coming off the corner on the long runs. They were happy to see this caution. They had refigured the fuel mileage. Mike Landis told me if we did not get a caution, we would run out of gas on lap 498, 2 from the end. Let's go to Bill Weber.
Well, 4 tires for Rusty Wallace, no chassis adjustment, 4 tires and fuel for the 43 car, Bobby Hamilton. Obviously, they could reach the finish. The disappointment for the Wallace crew was a little slow on the front tires, and Rusty, in uncharacteristic fashion, actually lost a couple of spots on pit road. John Kernan.
Mark Martin was in for 2 tires only, right side tires only, and now there's a discussion here with some of the NASCAR officials. Mark's still out in front of him, right?
Well, no, they just moved the 24 back in front of him, John. In fact, I was looking straight at that as they came across the line on the back stretch back there, and Jeff Gordon, it looked to me like did beat Mark Martin, but Bobby Hamilton didn't, so that's where NASCAR has put them back there right now, so we'll see if it stays that way.
So to sum this all up in a pit stop summary, Jeff Gordon stayed the same. Rusty Wallace lost 4 positions. Hamilton and Labonte the same. And Mark Martin picked up 4 positions on that pit series. And the discussion is continuing with the NASCAR officials, and the signal is being given. 1 more lap to go. So it will be Gordon, Mark Martin, Hamilton, Kenny Wallace, Terry Labonte, Rusty Wallace, Bobby Labonte, and Jeff Burton. Then Jeremy Mayfield, Ken Schrader, Dale Earnhardt, Ricky Rudd, Darrell Waltrip, Hud Strickland, and Jimmy Spencer. Those 15 cars on the lead lap, as we're now within 100 laps of the finish of the race. 403, make that 402, will be complete at the green flag.
Hi, Brooke. Watching intently, but there's no audio there because it's too loud.
Well, yellow back out here, guys.
So we will not go back to racing, and so we'll sneak in a quick break here and be back to Martinsville in a moment. We'll watch the restart from the Pennzoil Copter Cam. The pace car there in turn number 4 will be making a left turn into the pits. Here's the green flag. We're back to racing.
John Andretti down the inside. He had made a green flag pit stop, so he's in 26, 3 laps down.
Well, maybe Mark Martin will be proving everybody wrong when you say you can't win from the back pit. He's already proven you can run up front from the back pit.
And he changed 2 tires on last stop, and the rest of them changed 4. And his penalty from back there was he still is not leading the race. So,
and obviously the tires are going to go away faster than they are going to on the other cars. John Kernan.
You know, after happy hour yesterday, Mark Martin was not happy with the way the car was running. So this morning, they put their heads together, made some changes, and all during the race this afternoon, Marcus kept telling Jack Roush and the crew, hey, this car is really good. Here's what I want you to do after the race is over. Take the springs and shocks and sway bars off this car, put them on the shelf, because we're going to bring them back to Martinsville next time.
able to stay as close to Jeff Gordon as anyone else has today. About out of spin coming off turn 2.
Yeah, a lot of
back arc control.
A lot of cars got bunched up over there. Somebody might have got sideways.
That's the group of cars we're talking about. The 42 car and the 33 car. There's Earnhardt's in there. The 10 car, Ricky Rudd, trying to get by. That's a battle for the 11th spot. Earnhardt is 11th. Rudd is 12th.
Waltrip there on the outside is in 13th.
We're told that Kenny Schrader of the 33 car, Skull car, also changed 2 times that last stop in the back pit.
There's Joe Nemechek, outside front row starter and the early leader of this race. He's what, 16th?
1 lap down.
This is Jeff Bodine's QVC onboard camera, and there's a Napa Field summary. Boy, Jeff has had a tough afternoon from the very beginning of the race. He's only 2 laps down, though, which isn't all that bad in 22nd. But boy, that has a lot of damage to it on the front of the. Whoa, we have Derek Cope spinning again.
Hadn't been long since he was down there in that position, not up on the wall like he is right now. But caution is out.
Yep, caution is out. Well, he hit the water barrels back there and put a little moisture down on the racetrack.
Those barrels protecting the cars as they come off the corner without hitting that wall. And there we see Cope coming down the backstretch.
Let's take a look at it again.
Heavy traffic here, and it looks like Johnny Benson on the left of your screen might have touched Cope, sent him around backwards into the end of the wall there where those water barrels are.
I would say you're right.
Most of the water, however, looks like is in the pit area back there on the backstretch. And so we're slowed once again. So we're going to take another break. This is the 10th caution flag of the afternoon. The track crew now tends to those water barrels back on the backstretch. Track crew still working over on the backstretch, getting the water up off of the racetrack that was put there when Derek Cope ran into the barrels, protecting the end of pit road. The 17 car of Darrell Waltrip is having a great day. He's running in 13th position, but perhaps the highlight of Darrell's day came earlier today when he was surprised by his dad, Leroy.
Leroy had been sick in Owensboro. This is the first race he's been back to. First time he's been to the racetrack all year long, and Darrell was thrilled to death to see Leroy this morning, and I'm sure Michael as well.
Yeah, I think Michael was responsible for getting him up here today, and that was neat.
Why are we under caution? Well, the car of Derek Cope may have gotten some help from Johnny Benson here and spun around off turn 2.
Johnny Benson in the yellow number 3. Yep, right there, some contact made. And around he goes. And into the water barrel.
Crew started running back on the wall, said, whoops, we better leave here.
So that's where the work is going on at the moment. 417 laps completed. Jeff Gordon still leading here at Martinsville. Welcome back to Martinsville. John Kernan, of course, hosts the weeknight edition of RPM tonight, but the weekend edition is hosted by Kenny Mayne. It's on at 7:30 tonight over on the Deuce, and you'll see the truck highlights from Phoenix, the World of Outlaws and Supercross also running this weekend, not to mention a recap of this Goody's Headache Powder 500. That's at 7:30 tonight on the Deuce.
Here's Michael Waltrip, Leroy's other boy, his youngest boy. Up 23 car made a pit stop a moment ago and chassis adjustment, and the ratchet was hung in the right rear, had to come back in.
Boy, he's going to go a lap down here if he isn't careful, Denny. Darrell Waltrip's going out of the pits. Now the 23 gets down. Yeah, he's going to be staying the lead lap.
Looks like they're moving the 8 in front of the 10 for the restart, Jerry.
The Circuit City crew complained that Hut Strickland was about a half a car length in front of Ricky Rudd when they came across the start-finish line to take the caution flag. Rudd had been in front of the 8 car throughout the caution after the pit stops. However, NASCAR took a look at their videotape replay and saw that the 8 car was right, and so they have moved the 8 back in front of the 10 for the restart.
So that would mean Hutt would restart in 12th and Rudd in 13th. Well, we remain under caution, so another break. We like to bring you as much green flag action as possible in the commercials during the cautions. The cars just took the green flag and they raced down into turn number 1 with the cars not on the lead lap to the inside and those on the lead lap to the outside. John Andretti trying to get a lap back.
He's 3 laps down, but
the 98 car has been black flagged for NASCAR for jumping the restart.
Whoa.
So John Andretti's problems continue as Mark Martin closes up right on the back bumper of Jeff Gordon. He'll do the same thing while he's able to get in the pits without being hit from behind. Now, Mark Martin, what can he do with the 24 car? We haven't seen this combination all day.
There is a lap car between Mark Martin in 2nd and Bobby Hamilton in 3rd, that being Robert Presley, who's a lap down in 16th spot. But Gordon once again puts a couple of car lengths between himself and his pursuer, in this case Martin.
Presley goes high. That's Bobby Hamilton on the inside. Presley is in 16th position, 1 lap down.
Here comes Kenny Wallace, a Square D car. What a great run this young man has had today. On the pole, and still runs in 4th spot.
He has been a contender all afternoon.
That team is for real. They've been working awfully hard, Kenny Wallace and the Square D team. Be a contender in NASCAR Instant Cup racing. They're there.
8, 17, and 10 all battle for position here. Strickland, Waltrip, Rudd.
Ricky Rudd dives in on the inside of the 8 car. Now the 8 car is hoping that Darrell will get hung up behind some lap cars and he'll be able to make some progress on the outside. Not working so far.
And Jimmy Spencer also working the high line. Gets a little crossed up there in the corner.
He came in and put on 4 tires during that last caution. He didn't have anything to lose because he was back near the rear of the pack anyway. Still in 15th position, the last car on the lead lap.
Ricky Rudd has been able to clear the 8 car of Hut Strickland. And there's the 3 car of Dale Earnhardt. Going by Dale Jarrett on the outside. Now diving to the inside of the 9 car of Lake Speed.
There's Brett Bodine's close call forward. Car number 11. He's 4 laps down in 30th position. Just ahead of Hut Strickland is the 41 of Steve Grissom, who's driving with a broken bone as a result of last week's incident at Bristol.
Steve Grissom in the Kodiak car spun out on the 1st or 2nd lap today. Was lapped. Later got the lap back, but now it's a couple of laps down.
Jerry has more on Steve Grissom.
Well, the bone he is broken is in his right foot. It's almost up near the ankle. It's one of the tarsal bones. He saw an orthopedic surgeon this week outside of Charlotte and was told he needed to have a screw put in that bone if it was to heal properly. The problem is, when do you have time to have surgery? Right now, Steve's planning on maybe having it operated on right after Sonoma in California and trying to drive for about a month with a boot and a bandage on that right foot.
Started 28th rather, and is now 23rd. Steve Grissom. It would appear with Robbie Gordon going back out onto the racetrack that now all 42 cars are still running. Wow. A lot of damage being shown by some of them, and a little damage being shown by everyone, including the leader, Jeff Gordon, but everybody's still out there in competition. There's second, third place, Bobby Hamilton. Fourth and fifth are Kenny Wallace and Terry Labonte.
Rusty Wallace is in sixth place, right behind Terry Labonte. And there's Ted Musgrave. Ted is 3 laps down in 26th position. And then comes Bobby Labonte, who has run a good, consistent race here today. The Interstate State Battery Chevrolet. He is 7th.
There's the 8th place car of Jeff Burton, the Exide Batteries car, running 8th spot. And right behind him, Jeremy Mayfield. Good run for the Kmart RC Cola car.
Most of that damage on the 37 car was sustained early on in the competition, so he stayed pretty clean most of the race. And the car that completes the top 10 is Kenny Schrader. There he is.
He was a lap down at one time, but when Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Spencer got together off of turn 4, he was right there in the thick of that, able to make the right move, got to the start-finish line first, and got back in the lead lap. And there's Dale Earnhardt. He's in 11th place. And Darrell Waltrip will ride on his back bumper in 12th place.
That's a battle for position between Earnhardt and Waltrip.
Morgan Shepherd right in front of him in car number 1. Morgan is in 22nd position. He is 2 laps down.
Now, 3-car battle here.
4th, 5th, and 6th.
Laps to go.
Rusty Wallace trying to look on the inside of Terry Labonte.
They come upon the slower car of Dave Marcus. Back in 40th spot. And again, Labonte looking to the inside.
We heard that Terry Labonte had the 620 gear. Watching these cars run, I would guess that the 81 car, Kenny Wallace, has the 633 because he's able to pull that 5 car off the corner just a little bit. That's an indication of a little bit more gear in the back.
Rusty Wallace. You can see here behind Terry Labonte will be our guest on Shop Talk following this race. Alan Bestwick, your host. That's coming up after the conclusion of our coverage. We were supposed to be in Shop Talk right now. We're going to run a little bit over our scheduled time because of the length of today's race, but we'll see how Rusty can do here in the closing laps. In the last 34 races, Rusty has won 39% of the races. And look at Waltrip and Earnhardt, and Waltrip takes the spot away.
DW moves into 11th spot in front of the 3 car. And he said, where's that next guy in front of me? Let me go find him.
Well, that next guy is Kenny Schrader. And he's not too far in front of him.
Rusty takes a look on the inside of Kenny.
And Robbie Gordon comes down the straightaway with sparks coming from underneath his car. Look at this last lap.
Come off the corner and right there, right front of Rusty's car, meets the left rear of Kenny's car, but they're able to continue on.
Gordon has taken his car to the pits on the backside.
Robbie Gordon is 38th. He's already 59 laps down.
He had a flat right front when he came down the front straightaway here and was throwing sparks.
And Morgan Shepherd is very, very slow on the racetrack. know exactly what his problem is, if he's got a right front, the brakes are gone or what, but
I believe his brakes might be gone, Benny. I've watched him while he was in some traffic a while ago and went into turn 3 and went very, very high as if he went in there and the brakes just went away on him.
One of the first NASCAR Winston Cup races that ESPN ever televised was in '81 here at Martinsville. It was won by Morgan Shepherd.
And we see the 43 car has been able to get by Mark Martin, take over second spot.
Cruising America on the car. Now we'll show you how Bobby Hamilton took over second.
There's the leader of the race on the left side of the screen. He comes off the corner, gets a great bite, and just drives right on by Mark Martin.
Could be those left side tires on Mark's car. He didn't change the left side tire during the last pit stop, and that might be hurting him a little bit here right now, especially in getting that bite off the corner. Now, Bobby Hamilton, a couple of times today, has run Jeff Gordon down in the longer run. So
we'll see if he can eat into Gordon's advantage here in the late stages with now about 46 and a half laps to go.
Meanwhile, Rusty still trying his best to get by Kenny. Here he comes. He has position.
Kenny's fighting him tenaciously, though, isn't he?
I think Kenny Wallace is making a statement today.
Yeah, I agree.
And he's trying to make a statement to the other guys. I am for real. I'm a real race car driver. I'm not Herman. I'm not the little kid. Hey, and Rusty almost gets out of shape. But he's just trying to make a statement today.
Well, it was 1.58 last lap. This lap, it was 1.92, the separation between Gordon and Hamilton. So Jeff Gordon gained almost a half a second there. But now Gordon in a little bit of traffic. That's Ernie Irvin, who is 31st, 5 laps down.
Well, we see that that Bobby Hamilton gained about 1,500 of a second that time.
And all 10 cars are within 10 seconds of each other. It was 1.77, now it's 1.57.
2/10 of a second. Bobby Hamilton getting closer and closer. Ernie Irvin a moment ago moved over and let Jeff go dead pretty easy, and I would expect him to do the same thing with Hamilton.
I think he would. As here's Gordon now moving up on the car number 98.
Remember last time, Gordon had a heck of a time getting around John Andretti, but looks like it will be much easier this time.
Yeah, well, John's already 3 laps down, so there's no point. The other time he was trying to stay in the lead lap, but made a green flag pit stop since then.
And we see that was just under a second and a half, a second and a quarter. So Hamilton gained a quarter of a second that lap, although Jeff Gordon did have some trouble getting by the 98 car. But Hamilton is there.
But he's got to move through those 3 cars that Jeff Gordon has already cleared. And the interval goes up a little bit.
Hamilton's having to pass cars on the outside right now that will definitely hurt his lap time.
So Gordon enjoys a 1.5 second lead over Bobby Hamilton with 39 laps remaining in the Goody's Headache Powder 500. ESPN Speed World today at Martinsville Speedway in Virginia for the Goody's Headache Powder 500. And it's all being brought to you by MasterCard. MasterCard, the official card of NASCAR. By Valvoline Durablend, the #1 selling semi-synthetic motor oil. And by Firestone, America's tire since 1900. Laps dwindling down here. We're on board with Jeff Gordon, the leader of the race, who still has an advantage over Bobby Hamilton.
See that 800 marrow too? That's for the bone marrow donor program. They had a program here Thursday at the racetrack. Had some people come by and join the program. And there's Ray Evernham checking out his driver, Jeff Gordon. Right now, everything looks good shape, but you never know about this business.
He just seems to get better and better, though, doesn't he, Jeff Gordon? Since his first start, he's 22 wins in 131 races, winning percentage of 17%. Since he won that first race, he has a 25% winning average. And since the 1996 season, 13 wins in 38 races, a percentage of 34%.
So that means he wins every one out of every 3 races he enters.
Yep, has since last year.
And this is not going to hurt his average today if he goes on to win, but
now look at the number of cars between Gordon and Hamilton.
Yes, Bobby really has his work cut out for him now.
And we have only 30 laps remaining in this race. Gordon off the 4th corner. When he crosses the line, he'll complete lap 470. There is Mark Martin, who's had a great run. He's hanging in there in 3rd. Jerry Punch.
Guys, this morning, Laurie Halverson, who's the PR rep for Mark Martin, told us about a meeting Mark had with the crew. He told the crew, said, guys, starting 39th, I don't think I have any shot at winning this race today. In fact, if I win this race today, I'll get out and run naked through the grandstands. Well, he only took on 2 tires. I think Mark can rest easy, but boy, what a ratings grabber that would have been.
Man, oh man. I'd like to see him try to get out of that one, huh?
Yeah. And Jerry's already told the story, so if something happens to the
That's right.
24 and 43, we all want to see it.
We're going to hold him to it. There's Terry Labonte and Rusty Wallace, 4th and 5th. And the 99 and 33 are battling for position. This is 9th up for grabs right now, and Kenny Schrader takes it away from Jeff. Darrell Waltrip closes in.
Yeah, he's moving right up behind them. Darrell, of course, running in the 11th position. He wants the top 10.
Oh, we got a spin down in the 1st and 2nd corner. I don't know if the caution. Oh, this is going to be. This is the leader.
Caution is out.
Caution is out.
Robert Presley and Dale Earnhardt might have gotten together a little bit there.
Rusty passes Labonte down the backstretch, and Mark Martin, I believe, is going to pass Bobby Hamilton also. Here they come to the lump. Hamilton keeps the spot. Mark took a run at Bobby, but did not take that position as they came to the line. 25 laps to go.
Oh, boy. Jeff Gordon did not want to see this.
Nope. Had himself a good lead. Okay, now then, tires, we've already established that they don't wear that much. You got enough fuel to go the rest of the way. So do they pit?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I think I agree. Now, certainly those towards the back will pit. I'll guarantee you Dale Earnhardt will pit.
Yeah, I think so, too.
His car was not as good as we've seen it earlier here today anyway. I say I guarantee. I believe that he will. He's in 12th position, and there are only 15 cars on the lead lap, so we'll see.
Well, no, they did not stay out this time because they chose to stay out because pit road right now is still closed. So we'll have to wait till another lap before we find out if they're going to stop or not. And boy, don't you know there's some chatter on the radio right now.
There's Bobby Hamilton's crew. They are ready. I don't know whether this is a fake or not, but they got the guns and the tires in hand.
I would guess that if the 24 car comes in, then they'll come in. I will guess that. Well, we'll see. But it might be, they know that Jeff Gordon's crew's looking up there and say, what's those guys going to do?
Square D's got the board out. Jerry Punch.
You guys are right. Jeff Gordon did not want to see this caution come out. And as we're watching here, we are told that they're going to try to stay out on the racetrack, but expect some of the guys that are back in the back part of the lead lap to come on the pit road, like Ricky Rudd, for example. Rudd is going to come in, take a round of bite out of the car, and do what he can do to try to maybe gain some spots. He is currently 13th on the lead lap, and also DW will make a pit stop. So these guys in the back of the lead lap had nothing to lose.
Ricky Rudd also on pit road to get some fresh tires, and Hud Strickland and Jimmy Spencer.
All right, Rudd's Tide bunch going to work on his damaged Ford Thunderbird. Right behind him, Hut Strickland also went in the Circuit City car. Took one round to bite out, try to get the car a little freer in the corner. The 23 car is out, the 10 is down and away. Right side tires going on the 8 car. He is down and away. Here comes the Camel car number 23 and Darrell Walter, Parts America Chevrolet.
And Dale Earnhardt is in on the backstretch, as we predicted.
Let's see, they're putting no fuel in the car, so the balance, I guess, they are changing all 4 tires going around the left side. Jimmy Elliott on the front, Mark Armstrong on the rear. And Earnhardt is about to be lapped.
Yes, he's going to have to hurry. He's okay. He got out in time.
Dick Trickle also coming in the back pit. But Earnhardt makes it out, stays on the lead lap.
Ricky Rudd coming back in the pits.
And Hut Strickland also back in the pits.
Jerry is there.
Well, both Rudd and Hut Strickland coming back in to take on left side tires. And they are hustled down. They're going to have to hustle to keep them moving left. Here comes the pace car. Here is Rudd, Strickland, and yes, they will make it out. Boy, that was a struggle. They wanted to come back in and take on left side tires. They'd only taken right sides on their previous stop.
Say, Walton, you've got 42 cars on this racetrack, and they're all the way around the racetrack in single file. It's hard to be the last car and come in and change tires and not get lapped.
Just a little over 20 laps to go in this race. Jeff Gordon, the leader right now. Come back in just a moment. We're back at Martinsville for the final 20 laps of competition. And again, our hats off. Thanks to the Pennzoil Copter Cam for flying over the racetrack all afternoon and giving us the shots from overhead.
Signal now for one more lap. We'll be back to Marine Flag Racing.
Let's keep up to date with Johnny Benson. What's he doing in the Pennzoil Pontiac? He's running in 18th position at the moment, 1 lap down. Here's Jeff Bodine. He's 20th. Ted Musgrave is 25th. Mark Martin is 3rd. Kenny Wallace is 6th. Michael Waltrip is running in 27th position, 3 laps down. Rusty is 4th. And Jeff Gordon is the leader. And here we go. The green is out. Laps left in this race. Bobby Hamilton is in 2nd. Can he close in on Jeff Gordon? The fewest number of cars to drop out of a race at Martinsville is 3. At the moment, only 1 car is listed as out of competition. That is Robbie Gordon. So the attrition hasn't been all that bad during these 500 laps.
3rd place car, Mark Martin, the 6th. The 2, Rusty Wallace, is the 4th place car. And there we see Terry Labonte, the 5th place car, as he tries to get by Michael Walter. That's our sit-go-in car, watching all this. There's inside Michael's car as he sees the leader at the end of the straightaway.
Well, they were bunched up coming off of turn 4.
The points leader, Dale Jarrett, 16th. 1 lap down. Labonte, 2nd in points, passes Jarrett. And there's the pole sitter, Kenny Wallace, in 6th.
And going on by the 21 car on the outside now is Jeremy Mayfield in 7th spot. So Jeff Gordon not able to pull right away from Bobby Hamilton, but Bobby Hamilton also not able to close up on the back bumper of the 24 car.
Bobby Hamilton showing showing that damage in the right rear of the car from an incident with Gordon and others.
Ken Schrader and Bobby Labonte got together on the backstretch over there, but they both got squared away.
Here's Darrell Waltrip to the inside of the 99 car of Jeff Burton. Now, Jimmy Spencer there in 23 has moved into 10th, and so this battle between Waltrip and Jeff Burton is for 11th. And they're still bumping and banging out there.
And Darrell Waltrip gets the spot. DW, little race. He said, hey, come on, Ted, move over. Give me some room here. And wisely, Ted did.
There you see on our field summary, the Musgrave is in 25th. There are 10 laps to go, and at the moment Jeff Gordon has a comfortable lead, as comfortable as you can have.
And look at Jeremy Mayfield trying to take that spot away from the 81 car. Great runs by both these young drivers today.
Yeah, we haven't heard that much about Mayfield.
Oh, some contact there.
Yep. But he just hung right in there, saved his brakes, and now has a run for a good finish here at the end.
While we have seen the emergence of some young guys like Mayfield and Kenny Wallace in this race, we've also seen old veterans like Darrell Waltrip have a good run.
DW back in 11th spot. Still trying to catch Jimmy Spencer to get in the top 10.
And the battle between Rusty and Terry heats up for 4th. There are 6.5 laps to go. Here's that battle between the 33, 23, and 17.
Well, 9th, 10th, and 11th, man.
They're going at it. DW trying to get in that top 10. And Spencer
look out,
goes down and then make contact, and Spencer goes high. Darrell will be able to drive by. Spencer did a good job of
yes, he did.
Holding on.
The old veteran has some fight left in him, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. We're talking about Darrell Waltrip.
Here comes Labonte, and Rusty gets a little bit sideways, and Terry under them for the 5th spot, 4th spot.
Well, doesn't have it yet, but he's got the advantage down on the inside. He'll probably get him coming off of this corner. Well, didn't quite do it. Dale Jarrett sitting right there behind him, and he said, hold him off, Rusty. That's 5 points.
That's right. Rusty's been good on the outside all afternoon. Sure doesn't want to give up the spot.
And the 37 car and 81 battling right behind them. That's for 6th.
As we have 2.5 laps to go. Here's Waltrip again trying to take the 9th position away from Kenny Schrader.
Schrader, once again, as he's done all day, fights back hard on the outside, but I think DW has him. Yes, he does.
And there's a spin up here in turn 4.
Jeff Bodine has spun to the inside. He's
white flag's out, Bob, and no caution. He's down off the racetrack, so white flag is out. I think they'll just go on and finish this race.
Okay, Jeff Gordon on his last lap. Bobby Hamilton's cleared traffic. There's no cars now between Gordon and Hamilton. Here is Jeff Gordon in the 4th turn. Looks like he's going to be able to do it. Yes, Jeff Gordon wins the Goody's Headache Powder 500, his 2nd straight win at Martinsville. Here's a battle. Wallace finishes ahead of Jeremy Mayfield.
Bobby Labonte and old DW was in that picture.
Yep.
So that was a battle for 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Jeff Gordon has won this year at Daytona, Rockingham, Bristol, and now at Martinsville. And Jeff Bodine's day has ended as it began very early in the race when he ran into a problem. Jeff's going to wind up in about 26th position. But there is the man of the day and the man of the hour, Jeff Gordon, his 4th win of 1997, his 2nd straight, and his 14th win since the beginning of 1996, and he adds to that great winning percentage. It's his 23rd career win.
You know, Jeff Gordon's getting to know where Victor Lane is at all these racetracks.
Sure is.
Yeah, he's been here before.
Let's take a look at the unofficial results. Mark Martin finished 3rd. Jeff Gordon led the most laps, thus the 2 yellow arrows. And as you look down at the top 15, Darrell Waltrip with a 9th place finish. Dale Jarrett, the points leader, keeps the points lead. However, he finishes a lap down in 16th.
And we see Joe Nemechek did lead a lap and 3 leaders today. And Chad Little finished 106 laps behind, will be the 42nd place.
Here's our McDonald's Winner's Circle interview with Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, Jeff gets a nice cold drink in the race car, and while he sits in the car, Jeff, congratulations, 2nd win in a row. You made it 3 springs in a row last week at Bristol. What a run.
I tell you, it sure was, Jerry. You know, these guys did an excellent job in this car. First thing I want to do is thank the Lord. Certainly on our side right now, and you know, I got to praise him. He's what makes this thing go around and round, and it's really nice to be driving this DuPont Chevrolet on days like today, man. These guys in the pits did a great job. You know, got me out front where I need to be, and gave me a great car today. And Goodyear Tires did a great job. Got to thank Quaker State and Pepsi and everybody that's a part of this car and this team. It's a great honor to be a part of it.
Spin and win about halfway through. You came back from that. That was a close call.
Yeah, I figured Jimmy would get me back someday, but didn't know it would be right there. But, you know, that was a close call. And, you know, that's when you know you've got the Lord on your side, when you can do things like that and come back and win. Luckily, I didn't damage the car too bad, and we were able to get back out there.
Jeff Gordon's 4th win in 1997. Bob?
Take a look at the point standings now. Dale Jarrett has a 45-point advantage over Terry Labonte as we head to the high banks of Talladega Superspeedway in Alabama next weekend, with our coverage beginning with qualifying on Friday. And don't forget, Shop Talk is coming up next here on ESPN with Rusty Wallace. We'll see you next week from Talladega. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.